Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy PDX M4RK. Today we have a pretty interesting stream planned. I hope that my mic volume is pretty good. Let's test that theory. Yeah, that looks great. It looks good, dude. I bet I sound nice. Today we're gonna practice being a React content streamer. We're gonna Asmon Gold Max for real. We're gonna react to Netflix just got exposed.
There's been a new documentary that was released on Netflix that is taking the internet by storm. It's called Inside the Manosphere. This is when Louis Theroux, he went and kicked it with some of the guys in the Manosphere. And these include White, HS Tiki-Taki, Myron from Fresh and Fit. Either Fresh ain't want to be involved or he wasn't interested enough for Louis Theroux. My dog, Justin Waller, and Sneeko. Now, here's the thing. He went and interviewed them all. I'm in the documentary for a brief second. Let me just show you, man. You know, at around the 1 hour and 5 minutes, 57-second mark, when they start talking about Justin, you see me right there, man. You know what I'm saying? You see me right there interviewing Justin. I was the first interview. Theroux is copying off of me. I was like, Justin, what's up with all this red pill shit? Anyway, that Justin is my dog, like in real life. That's my boy. I'm not exactly sure what the point of the documentary was. It seemed as if the guy just wanted to show a part of the internet that maybe some people aren't aware of. I didn't know if there was a real point. Maybe the viewer is supposed to come to his own conclusions. Some of those guys did end up looking crazy. I want to be clear. I've never met HS Tiki-Taki.
I have not seen the Netflix documentary, but I am aware of HS Tiki-Taki. I watched like Asmon Gold react to him, and I like him.
Those guys did.
He's cool.
End up looking crazy. I want to be clear. I've never met HS Tiki.
This guy, I like his content. He's cool.
Kentucky. I didn't even really know who he was before this, and I don't think I'm the target demographic. I'm old, man. I'm 43. I don't think he's sitting around, man, we got to get the 40-plus-year-old guys to watch our stream. I ain't never been on Kick or none of that shit. But anyway, this was my first exposure to HS Tiki-Taki. It was really interesting. If I was to describe him from what I saw from the documentary, I'd call him like Diet Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate light. Like if you were watching a bunch of like Andrew Tate stuff on YouTube back when you were allowed to do that before the Matrix attack, you probably get recommended some HS Tiki-Taki as well. You know, hey, you fuck with this shit? Well then, where do you get a load of this? You know how YouTube does. You watch one video about something, then you see mad other shit. You know, I watch a video about shoestrings, and now all my shit is about how to make shoes. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm gonna go through each one of these guys individually, pause, and give you my take. Andrew Tate Light, aka HS Tiki-Taki. There was some interesting parts about his segments.
Yo, y'all seen him own Pierce Morgan though? Come on, that was a good interview. He made Pierce Morgan rage quit. How can you hate on this guy?
One that I found fascinating is how he said that he thinks OF is awful and he would disown his daughter if he did it. And he even said he tells guys not to watch porn and not to goon.
Based, never goon chat.
However, he makes money promoting OF girls on his Telegram, you know, and he gets a cut of the proceeds.
Who cares? Who the hell cares? He's literally telling, it's like, bro, it's like even McDonald's says don't eat McDonald's probably. You know what I mean? It's like if I worked at McDonald's and I said don't eat McDonald's, it's like, you know, it's like, bro, I gotta get my bag.
Or like he'll like have these hoes on stream, and he actually owned a OF agency, so he makes me off it, but he thinks it's awful. When questioned about this, Mr. Taki said, yeah, I don't think it's right, but I'll make some money off it. I found that super fascinating because growing up, I used to hear some shit like that from some of the OGs around me. They would say, hey, if they don't buy it from me, they gonna buy it from someone else. Right. You know, like that kind of thing. This kind of stuff I heard from criminals.
Guys, don't sell drugs. Don't risk your freedom for not even 100K a year. Let's be honest, okay?
You typically
don't waste your freedom for not even 100K a year. Let's be honest, bro. It's just not worth it.
He was only career criminal ass niggas who said shit like that to me. But this guy, everything he's doing is, as far as I know, is 100% legal. It was definitely hypocritical. I appreciated that he didn't give a fuck though. I don't like when people try to justify them doing some rash. He said, yeah, it's not right, but I'm gonna make money. I think the exact quote was,
I'm not living for other people, I'm living for myself.
Most guys would be like, hey man, you know, I'm just doing it right.
At least he has the balls to tell you that he doesn't think you should be watching porn. You know what I mean? Like, this dude's like making porn for a living, but at least he'll tell you like, bro, I don't think y'all should be watching this. I'm just doing it for like the gooners out there that are gonna buy it anyway, you know. And I know that there's like this one, I've seen a lot of OnlyFans models. They'll say that's bad because you're feeding into the industry, and also anybody who consumes these products, right? I gotta remember to start saying PRON. It's like, it's not good, you know.
Hey man, they gonna get it for me to go get someone and try to justify it. My man was just like, nah, it ain't right, but I'm doing it anyway. I kind of like that. Not that he's doing it, I kind of like that he owned it, but it's still hypocritical. I think the fact that he's doing it is kind of whack.
I think a lot of people are overlooking the fact that he'll like try to put you on a little bit and be like, it's not a good idea to consume this, you know. Real talk.
But
he a real one for that.
I do appreciate that he didn't try to make it sound better than it is. However, I noticed that all throughout the red pill movement in general, like they talk about like living like conservative values. They talk about like this high morality shit, but it doesn't always show up in their behavior or the things they promote. Like motherfuckers will talk about, you know, how
nobody knows what red pilled is, bro. Let's be honest. We got to react to a Hamza video because we need to get the actual definitions, bro. I saw Hamza recently. He made a video and he was like, red pill, blue pill, black pill. Here's what it actually all means. I remember back in the day, the way Hamza would explain red pill was literally just like, if you're black pilled, that means you believe that, let's say my genetics, I'm balding. Let's say I'm balding and can genetically your teeth fall out? Okay, let's just say I'm balding and my nose was like 3 times bigger than it is, okay? I would say it's over for me. I will never find love. I will never find a girlfriend. My nose is too big and I'm balding. Girls only want guys with hair and small noses. That's what I believe black pill is. And blue pill, here's what I believe blue pill is. Blue pill is like, yeah, I have a really big nose and I'm balding, and my girlfriend probably likes guys with small noses and hair, but it's okay, I guess. That's basically, you know what I mean? But it's okay. I still love her. And then red pill is just like, I don't care. Rah! Said hi. Hey, what's up, Nasubi? And then red pill is just like, I don't care. I'm the alpha now. And that's so charming to me. I love that. Main character aha moment. That's how I feel. It's just like, I'm not going to let anything stop me. It was just like, it's kind of, you know, that's how I always saw it. Clav's a black pillar. I don't think I agree, bro, because, hey, what's up? Because if you guys, I had a little transformation, bro. I be getting fat. I be bulking, you know what I mean? That's why I'm such a red pillar, because I believe, like, it's so easy to, like, go from fat to fit, this and that, you know, from poor to rich. I swear, it's easy, you know, and that's why I'm a red pillar. That's why I've always liked, because I feel like red pill is, like, pull yourselves up by the bootstraps, do the push-ups. That's what I associate it with, you know? And I've always associated blue pill and black pill with, like, here's how I think about black pill is, it's not worth doing the push-ups because my nose is too big anyway. That's how I've always seen the black pill, you know, and I think that's not right, because I've seen like dudes with like a messed up on nose and a buzz cut, right? I met this guy, I think his name was like Carlos, I swear, and he had like the craziest nose I've ever seen, bro. He looked like the Fruit Loops bird. And he had a buzz cut. But, like, bro had, like, a six-pack and a sick physique, bro. And there was, like, 3 girls in the sauna trying to get at him. And I don't know how to not be red-pilled after that. Because, like, the dude was ugly as fuck. And, like, you see the same thing everywhere you go. Like, go to the mall. Go to any restaurant. Go out in public. You'll always see, like, some chopped, like, overweight husband with a dad bod. And he's got, like, a super hot chick. You know? And, like, how do you not be red-pilled after that? I don't understand. I just don't get it. And then it's like, don't y'all have aunts and uncles? You know? I mean, like, come on. Black pill and blue pill seems so ridiculous to me for the reasons I'm stating now. You see what I'm saying?
Men need to be better and get rid of vices and stuff, but then promote gambling. Motherfuckers will talk about how men shouldn't watch OF or men shouldn't goon.
That's so, like, oh my god, bro. Do y'all not need money? For real? Like, I'll promote gambling right now. I'll do it too. Let's go to the yo, donate me enough money to go to the casino. Genuinely, I need like $100 to cash out. Let's get $100 in this stream. We'll cash that out and we'll go to the casino with it. Real talk. I'll do $50 bets, $50 on black, or I'll do 100. I don't know, whatever chat wants.
But then they'll bring OF girls on their shit and promote the OF girls and tag them, because presumably that's the only reason they can get the girls around, right? Because the girls want the exposure, but they still promoting OF shit. It's almost like a selective conservatism. It's almost like a do as I say, not as I do type of mentality that I find super odd amongst red pill guys and a lot of conservative guys, like in general. My conservative.
I definitely get what he's saying, because dude, it's hard to stay perfect, bro. Like, we all slip up. Like, them OnlyFans girls look kind of good sometimes, you know? Let's be real, bro. You kind of, they be like, you be looking at them like, oh, I could fix her, you know? I got to get a soundboard. I wonder what my sound would be after that. I'll probably just copy some people I watch.
Friends are really about Trump. Like, the Trump is the man. Trump is the man. However, Trump also did like fuck a porn star. Why his wife?
Who wouldn't? As my dad said, who wouldn't?
Was pregnant. Again, it's that whole do as I say, not as I do type shit. But it's all good. Whatever, motherfucker. I just found that interesting. And I see that amongst almost.
MF's mad because they've never had the opportunity. Let's be honest. MF's mad because they've never had the opportunity.
All the guys in this documentary, to a certain point, not all of them, maybe not Justin, but that was HS Tiki Taki, and that was the things that I found really fascinating. One thing I noticed about Mr. Taki was that it seemed to be about going viral at any cost. So I guess he's part of these guys who do this thing where they out here trying to catch predators, set up predators and catch them. I'm
right on. God's work.
Down with people catching predators for sure. Sometimes when I see like these influencers out here catching predators, it's almost like I don't know what's in these motherfuckers' hearts. I'm gonna be honest with you. Almost seems like it's less about protecting kids and more about, you know, just using that shit to get streams and views. In many cases, not every case. Like, for example, like my man HS was like, yeah, I promote.
I'd try this, dude, but I'm not about to text some like 40-year-old man on some I need like, if one of my homies is down to do the decoying, I'll pull up with the camera and the questions. Real talk. If you're a homie of mine, DM me. Who's trying to do the decoying? Real talk, dude.
Only girls and crypto shit and forex shit, but we also catching predators on our spare time. It's like, all right, man. Hey, man, cool. I'm definitely not pro predator, so if you can get them, yeah, get them for sure. And again, maybe that's not a bad thing, right? Who cares what their motive is as long as they get the predators? Maybe that's not a bad thing at all. Anyway, moving on from HS Tiki Taki, the rest of the guys in the documentary are actually people I know. Some of them I know pretty well. For example, Myron.
I have not seen the Netflix documentary. I've seen a bunch of clips on YouTube. I've seen them all talk about it. So this video is awesome. Bro, my phone just died and the charger better not be in the car. Let me tell you. I'm gonna have to cut this out, bro. Alright, we good, boys. We good. Listen, I got the charger.
Gains. Man, I know Myron really well. I actually met Myron back before he started the podcast. Before he started Fresh and Fit, he was just working for the government. He came to one of my events and he wanted to join High Ticket Trainer. He started making so much money that he was able to quit his job working for the government, and he had enough extra money left over to spend money on the cameras and all the equipment for the podcast. And he's told that story many times. He calls me his mentor, which is high praise, and I appreciate that. He was also one of the guys in the documentary. Now, real quick, if you guys want to learn how you can grow your online fitness business, I'm doing a live training on March 29th at 2 p.m. where I will show you exactly how you can use AI to grow your online training business. I'm gonna show you how to use AI to grow your following, get more leads, and I'm gonna show you how to use AI to train your clients so you get great results. You just need to be willing to learn and put in the effort and learn about AI and learn about training and learn about sales and marketing, everything.
As a content creator with 5,000 subscribers, there is a level of interest I have in this guy telling me he can help me grow my social media business. You know what I mean? It sounds pretty legit. Chats, oh no. That's rough. Let's see. Y'all silly.
I think I'm gonna teach you for free at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 29th. Link is in the description. Myron made a bunch of money after I
Hey, by the way, if you're not messing with the vertical stream, we're horizontal on Twitch.
taught him how to be an online trainer, and he parlayed that in the Fresh and Fit. And initially, when I was watching him on Fresh and
If you're not rocking with the horizontal, you can watch the vertical on YouTube, but that's not how that works.
Fit, I was super proud. Like they started blowing up really fast, and I'm still proud. I later met Fresh there too, and I've been on the show many times. Over the years, Myron has gone like deeper and deeper and deeper into the red pill space, but almost like he's at the fringe of the red pill. It's past.
What is the red pill, dude? I'm so confused. Is anybody else confused? I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I'm about to turn this off and watch something else.
It's just, hey man, how do I get some pussy? It's like some other shit now where he's talking about politics, race, what women should.
The red pill, I feel like I'm gonna come out and admit and say I feel like it's absolutely. I've been watching stuff like this. Eternal Dawn, highly recommend. I feel like the red pill is absolutely all about women. Let's be honest. All right. I feel like that's why we have red pill, blue pill. Oh man, I wonder what my recent search results are. This one's not great. That's rough. No way I looked this up. I must have been a homie of mine. Alright. What did I want to look up? Dude, I want to watch some Hamza, bro. Oh, yeah, Hamza. Dude, Hamza's my goat for real. But what I want to watch, I saw, it was like, what is the blue pill? What is the red pill? What is the red pill? I remember I had a video where I talked about self-improvement. And, like, I saw self-improvement as separate from the red pill. Always have. Always probably will. What does it mean, Hamza? What does it all mean? I saw a video that I thought was really cool looking. He was like talking about all the pills. This is stuff I need to know. I guess I could look it up. Yeah. Yes! I found the video I was looking for, right? So here's my knowledge with it. I watched this video 100%. And this guy, right, he was like, I have fetal alcohol syndrome. It's over for me. Right? That was his take. That's why he's black pilled. You see this guy? And Hamza said, he probably told him to get a surgery. I'm gonna keep it a buck. And I felt like that was pretty red pill because I was doing something about it. That was like, there's always a solution to the answer. That's what I always saw. There's always an answer to any question, to any problem. But whatever. I don't know.
What is up? So, you've probably seen these phrases on the internet.
I can't watch Brandon Carter. I can't do it. Brandon Carter, I love you, but when you say Myron's headed really far into the red pill space, what does that even mean? I think that means he's going too hard yelling at women and screaming about, you know what, holding hands. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what Myron's getting at. Or this guy, sorry Brandon Carter, that's messed up. I think what Brandon Carter is getting at is that Myron went too deep into women. You guys are out at clubs. You hold hands with everybody. And I think that's probably what he means.
Internet recently. Blue pill, black pill, and red pill.
But again, I don't have in my head. Nobody's ever really told me what all this stuff means. You know what I'm saying?
And in
it's very abstract. So if Hamza wants to sit down and explain it to me, let's do it.
this video, I'm going to explain to you what these mean and which one you should consider. Basically, they refer to different kind of strategies that you can use as a guy to navigate your dating life with women. So if you're interested in dating, you'll generally align to one of these three. It sounds a bit like autistic and it's kind of cool to say like, oh, this is stupid, you know, why are you thinking about pills? Just be this, you know, better person, whatever, sure. But they actually do encapsulate quite a lot of like your strategic thinking, your values and beliefs in terms of dating. So I actually think they're really valuable to think about. So all you need to understand for now is blue pill, black pill, red pill are basically ways that you can date as a guy. And let's see which one's going to be best for you. So if I was going to give each one of these pills a phrase, like a motto that encapsulates the biggest part of them, the blue pill, the motto would be just be yourself, or in another word would be just be nice. This is like the conventional advice that you've seen through Disney movies and from your teachers.
Dude, your boy's red pill AF. Come on, are we being for real right now? This is like excuses. This is like
parents. It's like, oh, if you want to get the girl, just be nice to her. Now, the red pill is interesting. It's more like just be alpha. Just be a high status man that's better than others. And for the black pill, it would be just be genetically attractive. I don't think there's any debate between this. I think anyone who is on this side or whatever would all agree with me here. This is like, not for debate, this is just true. This is what the pills believe. Just be yourself, just be nice. Basically, you don't have to change yourself, just be like a nice person and you can get girls. You do have to change yourself, you have to act more like an alpha male, like a leader, like a top tier man, and you just have to be born lucky. Those are the three sort of encapsulations of the pills. Now let's go deeper into them. And this is the kind of tactics that you would use in each one. So in the blue pill, you can see it will be things like work hard to be able to provide, take an interest in her, act like a friend, get to know her for months first, and go slow. This is like traditional dating advice that probably worked in the 1900s.
Not my favorite. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Still kind of seems like good advice these days, potentially, but also a lot of us know that it is kind of bullshit, especially if
Anybody who's ever tried this, stop trying.
you're a young guy. You know that doing this doesn't increase your chance of getting a girl, you know, like Snapchatting her every day doesn't increase your chance of like getting her heart. Girls can Snapchat you every day for 6 months and have like a Snapchat streak and still go fuck a guy that they only just met at a party tonight. The red pill, on the other hand, it's all about being alpha. Being by alpha basically means alpha male means like,
Ask her, how are you? She'll say, I'm good. You say, you're not gonna ask how I am? She'll say, how are you? You say, a lot better now that I'm talking to you. You're welcome.
better than other guys. So you'll act like you're better than other guys and you're a high tier guy before you actually are one. One of the biggest ways that you do that is by basically pretending that you are sexually satisfied, basically acting as if you are fucking already. This is the kind of stuff that blue pill would not be thinking about at all. The red pill knows that women are more attracted to guys who are alpha males who basically are like the top of men. And one of the traits that you are the top of men is that you are already fucking. And so the red pill will tell you to pretend like you're already sexually satisfied, perhaps before you actually are. And so one tactic with this is what I call visualize the double blowjob, where you visualize whenever you're interacting with a girl, let's say like a girl's text you and you text her saying like, oh, let's meet tomorrow at 9 p.m. or something. And she says like, oh, I don't know, maybe I can, whatever. She's a bit wishy-washy. Whenever you're interacting with a girl, what I like to do, I prescribe this to people is like, visualize the double blowjob, visualize. And in front of you right now, you have your 10 out of 10. Just think about her for a second, like just enjoy the fantasy. What does your like 10 out of 10 girl look?
Hamza says this like a lot. I swear, bro. I promise you, this is not the first time he's talked about visual double blowjob. Because I know exactly what he's going to say, and I have not watched this video, but I'm just going to let him do his thing. This is not a bad thing. This is good dating advice, I swear.
Like her hair color, her
I've used the visual double blowjob method before, and I would highly recommend, so pay attention.
physique, her face, whatever. Now imagine you've got two of them, and they're both sucking you off at the same time. And let's just, for the sake of like pretending, let's just imagine that they're actually for some reason good girls as well. You know, they're actually like wife quality, just to pretend, right? What would you do now in your dating life if this was the case? If a girl texts you saying like, oh, I'm not sure if I can meet tomorrow, would you give a shit? No. Of course you wouldn't, because you're getting your dick sucked by 2 10 out of 10. You wouldn't give a shit. And what's interesting is when you don't give a shit because you're acting sexually satisfied, this actually makes girls like you more because it is the opposite of one of the most unattractive traits that you can have as a man, which is neediness. The blue pill often makes a guy pretty needy because you kind of like focus on one girl for a long time. So for example, if they were going to be weapons, the blue pill would be like a sniper rifle, not like a quickscope, but like a sniper rifle where you hold your breath and you just like stay aimed at the target for ages. Just really making sure, and then you shoot. The red pill is a bit more of like a shotgun method, right? It's like you're just like you're not caring about one specific girl, but rather you're just getting good with like.
To any of my guys out there, bro, it's so interesting because just like dating advice is like so night and day before and after you get out of high school. I promise you, if you're like in high school, bro, I would like not pay super attention to this, but I would genuinely keep it a little red pill, you know, because just I feel like girls before they become women, they could be a little bit less knowledgeable about stuff like this, you know? And I remember myself when I was in school, right? Blue pilling was just fine. Yeah. Just don't be super needy, bro. Let it come to you. You know, that's my advice for if you're still in school. But the reason I say all this, man, I was gonna give some like super red pill dating advice. But like I don't recommend it if you're like in school. If you're in high school, if you're in middle school, if you're in college, I don't recommend it. But if you're a little bit older, let's say you've graduated or you're over the age of 18, bro, man to man, bro to bro, talk to all the girls, talk to every girl until one is like really mad that she's not the only girl you talk to. Like, I'm just gonna let you know, you know. That's some PDX Mark dating advice. You gotta, like, she's gotta be like, will you be my boyfriend? Because, like, if she's not like that, like, you gotta go find the girl that is type beat. Or attract to the girl that is type beat.
Like girls as a whole. So that's why like you visualize the double blowjob in this idea to remind yourself that there's so many other girls out there, so you have more of this abundance mentality. Now another tactic that the red pill will tell you to do is be selfish. This is what I call Hamza's golden rule, and the golden rule, the phrase is, just do what you want.
I know a lot about the red pill. I want to know.
All young men suffer so much, not just in dating, but in all areas of life, because they don't actually know what they want. You think you do, but you have like it's hard for me to maybe make you understand this, but now that I'm older, I can really see this. If that's being guys watching, so you know what I mean. When you're young, like for most guys watching, probably 23 years old or less. When you're young, it's like you think you want something, but you don't actually. You just want it because you think that will get you liked by people. That's not like the real you. And if you don't peel back the layers and really discover like, what you want, you will be attracted to girls. This phrase, like being the alpha, means you're a top tier of man. With the higher tier of man you are, the less you actually give a shit about like the judgment of other people, and you can relax in yourself. For example, the guy who will encapsulate this well will genuinely listen to the music he wants to listen to right now. I tell you a story about this. I remember the first time I thought this was many years ago. I was with a group of guys, and we were all like hanging out or something. And there's one guy who I felt was like an alpha male. I could see it. He was the top of our social group and everything, and he was like so attracted to girls. And we were all just hanging out, and randomly he just pulled out his phone, went on the music app, and just started listening to it basically by himself next to us. Like, he was just enjoying it. And that sounds like so fucking autistic and specific. I thought that was so interesting because when you are in a group of guys, if you are not the sort of alpha male, if you're more of like one of the guys who are like middle or low hierarchy, it's almost like you'll kind of look to the group and say like, oh, shall we listen to music, guys? You know, you'll almost like make it a group sort of discussion to listen to music, or let's go get food. The guy who's like alpha just does whatever the fuck he wants. He'll put the music on randomly. He'll randomly just say, oh, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go eat. He doesn't give a fuck if you're hungry. If you want to go eat with him, he's just hungry right now. He's gonna listen to his senses, which is actually like the coolest fucking thing you can do. So that's why I call Hamza's golden rule, which is like, just do what you want. What is it that you want? If you want to text her this way, then text her this way. If you want to fuck her this way, fuck her this way. If you don't want to reply right now, then don't. You know, don't feel pressure to reply to her right now. Don't feel pressure to act in a certain way. Let's say that she says like, oh no, I don't want to go outside today. I just want to stay inside. But you wanted to go outside.
Add me to your playlist. Check out my SoundCloud.
You would actually say, no, I want to go outside, you can come with me if you want. You'll act in a selfish way, which even though the blue pill will tell you what, no, being selfish is unattractive, the red pill will actually tell you being selfish makes you seem, or maybe you are, more of a high status, high level man, which is actually way more attractive to women. I should add a section here, which is basically why this works. Why is this attractive to girls? Well, this is attractive to girls because genetically, biologically, girls want to be impregnated by the man who has the best sperm, and the best sperm they'll often correlate to the guy who's at the highest of the social hierarchy of men. Basically, like, it's not like women are walking around thinking like, oh, I want the best man's sperm inside of them, and many girls don't even want to get pregnant right now. But it's a bit of like a subconscious kind of desire. They're not really aware of it, but naturally, their pussies get wet for the kind of guy who's at the top of the male social hierarchy because their body biologically wants his sperm because they think that's the best, healthiest sperm for them to have children. So the red pill optimizes for you to basically be the kind of guy who women want your sperm. They want to get fucked by you. The blue pill optimizes you to basically be the kind of guy where women want your provisioning, your providing. Basically, they want your wallet. So it's like, this is what, like, basically wallet, sperm, and then we'll talk about this in a second. And other tactics is basically the big part of the red pill in terms of becoming an alpha male is like over 5 to 10 years actually become an alpha male, high status, and you do this through self-improvement, career, charisma, these kinds of things. The tactics of the black pill is as follows. If you're a Chad, if you're naturally like an attractive, genetically attractive guy, then you can enjoy. And if you're not a Chad genetically, then there's no point. You can't change your results. This is what the black pill believes. Since they believe that it's all about genetics, you can't change your genetics. So it basically is all down to your genetics. If you have good genetics and you happen to be like a really attractive guy just naturally, then you can go and enjoy your dating life. This is what they believe. But if you don't have good genetics, then there's nothing you can do to change your results. This is a pure black pill. So I've got a question for you. Where does looks maxing go? And basically everyone's going to get this wrong. Where does looks maxing go on this? This is so interesting. It goes in the red pill category. This is what like the real black pill is specifically, that it is literally just your genetics that plays a difference. When the black pill was first emerging, I went and sort of like debated it's not him, it's like someone else who didn't show his face, but like I debated the biggest black pill sort of YouTuber, right? And the real black pill is that you cannot change your results because it is all genetics. What you see right now with like black pill influencers, we're talking about looks maxing, whatever. It's actually like looks maxing is a red pill thing. Looks maxing is a thing to make you like seem and look more alpha. It's a self-improvement thing. Looks maxing is not a black pill thing. The black pill is specifically that only genetics can matter. If you don't start with good genetics, it's over for you. It's as simple as that. That is and has always been what the black pill is. That's why it's so easy to kind of think that the black pill is fucking retarded. There's perhaps like a sort of dark red pill, like a crimson pill, which is what like the new modern day black pill influencer is more like. You know, you see some guys going viral where thing. So this is now what I would say is like more like the extreme end zone of the pill that you follow. So if you follow the sort of strategies the most that you can, this is what I would bet would happen to you if you actually really followed it as much as possible for the next like 5.
This graph is pretty much how I've seen it. I needed to see this graph, boys. I've been pretty confused about the terminology, right? And I'm just very confused as to why clavicular claims to be black pilled. If like me and Hamza, alright, listen, we both agree that the term looks maxing would be more of a red pill feature. Because why are you gonna looks max if I'm not a Chad? It's not even worth it. If I'm not a Chad, why looks max? You know? I think clavicular is just a young guy and he's kind of dumb. And sometimes he says dumb things. Bro's not black pilled, bro. Let me tell you. Dude, BP is crazy. How is getting like cosmetic surgery to like MOG not red pill? Because you know it would lead to this theoretically. I mean, surgeries aren't cheap, you know. So why would I ever even want to strive to have surgery money if I'm not a Chad anyway? You know, man. And then like, dude, I'll see like burn victims. I'll see like bomb victims, like teenagers, teenage bomb victims, bro. And they don't have hands, and they're lifting weights to try to improve their muscle mass, right? And it's like how inspiring that is until you see them like after 2 years of consistency, and then it's like, I don't know, man, it's impossible for me to be black pilled. What a loser take. It is my favorite color though. Dude, so Hamza, he's a very Myron type guy, it seems like. I'm curious to see Hamza's thoughts and takes on Myron. I'd like to talk to Hamza about Myron, because I think he's kind of a goofball, but just a little bit. But I wonder if he would agree on some of the takes he has. Man.
good dude. Honestly, man, I feel like Myron could have been like Black Joe Rogan if he didn't go that far. Like Myron went way too far. You know that scene in Star Wars, the one Star Wars where Obi.
That's funny. I get it now. I get it completely. It's hilarious. Could have been Black Joe Rogan if he didn't take it too far. He's right. Dude, Myron I don't like Myron. He's goofy. He's always screaming at the hose. He's so emotional. Come on. Myron, you're a goofball.
Obi-Wan, he just fucked up Anakin. He look at him like, you were the chosen one. That's how I feel when I watch Myron.
That's so funny, dude.
Get canceled every other week. Like, nigga, you was supposed to be our Joe Rogan. But anyway, he was getting pressed about his relationship with his girl. More than anything, they really focused on the relationship with his girl. I feel like it was an odd choice because there's so much stuff you could have talked to Myron about. I don't want to do this, but if I wanted to make a hit piece on Myron, I wouldn't focus on, does your girl let you fuck other bitches, right? I'd have been like, hey man, what was you saying about Israel? There's mad other directions I would have went. And the fact that he focused on his girl, it was just, I don't know, I feel like it was odd. I don't know if it made him look bad. Maybe I'm biased because I got a relationship with Myron. I mean, his girl was like, yeah, he be out here fucking other bitches, you know? The only part that was weird was when, before Myron said, yeah, I want to have multiple wives. When Shorty showed up, he asked him about the multiple wives, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm not really down with that. I'm paraphrasing. Myron was like, yeah, it could change. And it seemed like he kind of flipped on it. That's the only part that maybe could have.
Bro, it's called flirting, bro. Oh my God.
It made him look strange, but I don't know. I didn't feel like it made him look crazy. And maybe I just think that because I know how crazy someone could have made him look had they went another route, had they talked about race or politics, or had they just asked him, hey man, you think women should vote? It could have got way crazier. He was supposed to be Black Joe Rogan. He ended up being Black Alex Jones. Hey, that's my man. I don't agree with everything he's saying. Then they went on to Justin. It's hard for me not to be biased because Justin is actually my real friend. And, you know, you can see me in the documentary talking to Justin for like a literal second. That's in this podcast studio. You know what I'm saying? And Justin is like my dog. I talk to him frequently. I don't think they made Justin look bad at all. Like, I think Justin came out looking fucking cooler. Like, if you didn't know him, you probably liked him. And if you only knew him a little bit, you probably like him more. Yeah, there's one part in the documentary where they're in Miami and he's talking about my relationship is one-sided monogamy. When he said that shit, the guy was like questioning him. He was like, yeah, man, you know, it's like I don't even think my girl want to be with other guys. And that was like the main thing that they were trying to like kind of get him on. And then it just showed he ran into some fans in Miami, took some pictures with him, and that was it. Right? And then towards the end, they went to his crib in Louisiana and they actually met, you know, his wife, who's actually really dope, man. Like I met her. Her and my girl are super cool. They asked her about it. She was like, yeah, that's what it is. I think if they were trying to make him look bad, I don't know, if anything, it probably made him look cooler. There was nothing bad said about this unless you just don't believe in that. But I just feel like how other people live their lives and how their relationships, as long as they're transparent with each other and they're not lying to each other and they're telling the truth, if that's how people want to live, then that's what's up. Who are we to judge how other people, you know, live their life? She said she's cool with it. He said he's cool with it. That's what they do. I thought him and Myron both volunteered that information though, you know? Like the guy didn't really ask him about his sex life, right? So I don't know. I felt like Justin came out looking cooler. If they wanted to make a red pill hit piece, I think they should have left Justin out. Then came Sneeko. I've only met Sneeko once, and it was on Fresh and Fit. When I was Fresh and Fit, you know, he came on drunk and he was talking crazy to some girl, and they had to end the show or something. Him and Big Ack.
Sneeko, super jester maxing. I like his content. He's funny.
Came through talking crazy. He was so drunk. Later, he actually DM'd me the next day, say, yo, I'm sorry about what happened last night, you know? So he's a cool guy. I don't really know much about Sneeko, but Sneeko made himself sound crazy. Because when he was talking about all those conspiracy theories, Sneeko said there's something in the water that's making people trans. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you, Sneeko. I drink a lot of water. Lots of tap water. Never thought about chopping my dick off, turning it into a pussy. Never crossed my mind, not once. And I drink primarily tap water, man. Never thought about it. So I would disagree. He did some other crazy shit, man. Oh, he was saying that Sam Smith, as his performances was making people gay or something like that. I watched Sam Smith perform once, like on one of them award shows, and I ain't start worshiping the devil or trying to fuck guys. Like, then it had an effect on me. Sneeko.
Sneeko. It's over, dude. How do you beat those accusations?
Made himself sound a little crazy, but he would disagree with me. He would say, nah, man, there's something in the water that's making people trans. And we'll just agree to disagree. I don't really know what the point of it was, except for to maybe expose different people to another side of the internet. But I think there's just like a lot of different parts of the manosphere that aren't the wild, crazy shit. I don't think it was a good mix, because there are other people who may be considered part of the manosphere who don't sound crazy at all. Like at once they showed a clip of Elliot Holst. I don't know what Elliot Holst is saying bad. Elliot was one of my mentors. You could probably get something crazy out of him if you tried hard enough. Elliot, what do you think about aliens? You probably get something. That's my man though. They show Fit X Fearless for a minute. Like I don't think Fit be saying anything super controversial. You know, Fit was actually somebody who I mentored as well for mad long. Helped him grow his online fitness business. CEO of his business was actually somebody who used to work for me, the homie Miguel. Again, if you want to learn how to grow your online fitness business, I'm doing a live training on March 29th, 2 p.m. Hit the link in the description to sign up. I'm gonna show you how to use AI to grow your following. I'm gonna show you how to use AI to get more sales. And I'm gonna show you how to use AI to train your clients so they get amazing results. Make sure you click the link.
Yo, free live event. Yo, free live event. Come on. As a YouTuber, bro, I got it.
Register. But yeah, you know, I just think the only people who walked away from that looking kind of crazy was maybe HS Tiki Taki, maybe Sneeko a little bit, but I don't think Sneeko would have thought that. I think Sneeko watched it and be like, yeah, man, that's how I felt. Justin came out looking like the fucking man. I don't know. Like if you thought Justin was cool before, you really think he's cool after watching this shit. I didn't think it was a bad documentary. I watched it with my girl, Myron. He didn't look bad until you realize that, okay, he's not with that girl anymore, and maybe you can spin that to make him look bad. If they wanted to make a hit piece on Red Pill, they could have did better. If I wanted to make a fucking hit piece shitting on these motherfuckers, it'd have been all Zerka, and I would have asked Myron some questions about like who should vote in America and who shouldn't, you know? Here's my line. If I wanted to make a hit piece on the Red Pill, gotta start with Zerka.
What do you think the biggest mistakes men make are when they're trying to pick a wife?
100%. Men, you're not supposed to fall in love with your wife ever.
Yeah, so we start with Zerka. Maybe we still have HS Tiki Taki in there, but we need some
That's good advice.
more like some of the craziest Red Pill. We gotta have Clavicular, and we can have Myron. Instead of asking about his personal dating life, rank the best racists and the worst racists. Like really make him sound crazy. I think you gotta get Tate, but if you can't get Tate, maybe we get this guy. I think he would be good. You know what I'm saying? He'd say something fucking crazy enough. That's who my lineup would be if I wanted to really fucking shit on the Red Pill. I don't think it looked as bad, but then again, I'm a little biased. Check out the documentary, and if you haven't already, make sure you register for the live training I'm doing on the 29th to learn how to grow your online fitness business. All right, boom.
Dude, I'm gonna sign up for this event. Highly recommend.
I've been on the earth for 30 years of my life. See, in all those past phases of my life, they may have had different themes, different characters, different colors, but they were all the same. And this is different. It has been several months since I've had a bad day. In all of my 30 years, I cannot think of a time in my life, probably since childhood, and I mean when I was a little guy, that I could say I have gone several months without a single bad day. For the last several years, for as long as I can remember, I got sick several times a year, every year without fail.
I'm going to show you how to achieve levels of focus so deep.
It's been now February, March, April, May, June.
All of the dopamine that
it's
you
almost been half a year.
The day, or even if
haven't
it's
gotten
first thing
sick
in the morning,
once.
To essentially set your baseline level
and in
of
that
dopamine
time,
so freaking low, so incredibly low that anything that you do afterwards is going to feel so much better than what you just did before. We are starved in this world of true boredom. Every second of the day, we are just thrown constant dopaminergic activities with social media, corn, with food, with relationships, every single freaking minute of the day. And
I owe dopamine.
dopamine, typically ebbs and flows. And if you are like doom scrolling on IG and your dopamine levels are continually getting spiked and come back down and spike and come back down, and then you try to get into this super deep state of focus, no, of course that's not going to work, because your brain is comparing this deep work that you're doing to this super dopaminergic activity.
So how do we fix it?
Of scrolling social media. It's not going to be a smooth transition. So instead, what you're going to do is accrue dopamine debt, which is literally you sit on your bed, wherever, where there is zero stimuli around you. What I mean by this is no phone, no music, nothing. Bonus points if you do this with no sunlight, because sunlight, as many of you know, does increase your dopamine. However, that's better dope. I'll allow sunlight. I don't personally do sunlight, but I'll allow it. You're going to sit in silence. You're going to stare at a wall and do nothing for 10 minutes before you even trigger this state of deep work and true focus. Now, this dopamine debt that you're building up is essentially intentional boredom. And as I said, because of, especially the invention of the smartphone, but everything else in modern society, everything is instant. And that doesn't really go well with the natural way that dopamine is supposed to be released in your brain. So you're essentially building in boredom on purpose so that right before you get into your deep work states, it's not going to feel like you're swimming upstream compared to if you were like scrolling reels right before you get into your deep work. It's going to not be easy. You may stay focused for like 10 minutes and then you're going to lose because your attention span is reactive to whatever you were doing before. After you have completed your dopamine debt, what you want to do next is craft your environment so that everything is conducive to true focus, feeling really, really good and easy. If you want to have a habit that you genuinely stick to, it should be something that is satisfying, that is easy, and that is initially small enough so that just doing it triggers your sense of dopamine and you want to continue to do it. It's not an uphill battle. You want to continue. So what I do with my environment is I want it to be simple and satisfying. If you know anything about me, you know I'm
keep a clean space. Simplicity is so underrated.
very, very OCD and autistic about the setup around me. Everything on my desk right now has a purpose. I researched it.
I know that like my backdrop's kind of crazy, but like I be vacuuming a lot, and then like I like to keep things pretty tidy and in space. Have like a lot of room to walk around, and like there's not a bunch of stuff on the floor. I recommend just keep it clean.
Meticulously, there's a very specific reason that I have it exactly in the place that I do. For example, like I spend a lot of time running ads for myself and other people, and that means that I spend a lot of time looking at data. That is a left brain dominant activity. I also spend a lot of time on creative activities, which is right brain dominant energy. Number 3, you will ruthlessly protect those peak hours for your most important work, whatever that is, whatever's going to move your business forward, make you the most amount of money, improve your creative work, whatever's, kind of that North Star for you. Protect those hours like it's your fucking life. Number 4, you're going to batch all the other, low energetic tasks throughout the day. And finally, never waste these bullshit tasks on your most energetic windows throughout the day. Now, let's move on to the second phase, which is activation. All this means, if you study kind of the neuroscience, especially of building a really good habit, because that's what you want this to be ultimately, getting into these deep states of focus should be a habit. Every dominant habit, and even better, every dominant addiction, it has a trigger. What you need really is essentially a biological trigger that signals to your brain it's time to fucking lock in. And I think the rule of thumb here in general to have something that genuinely sticks is you should have a trigger that is hyper unique to you, something that's even a little bit quirky, and that if you told other people, like, you'd low-key be a little bit embarrassed. I think the best example of this is going to the gym. A lot of people genuinely don't like going to the gym. Many times I don't like going to the gym, but as soon as I get this one psychological trigger, my body needs to go work out. And for me, that one trigger is beta-alanine. Beta-alanine, for those who don't know, is a very common ingredient in pre-workout. I literally bought a mass bag of beta-alanine, and I'll like sometimes double or triple dose my beta-alanine, have up to like 10 to 12 grams of beta-alanine. And it's the thing that most people hate, but I personally love. That gives you kind of that sensation that spiders are crawling underneath your skin. It's great. But it's gotten to the point where if I feel that, of course, I'm going to want to go work out. And it literally doesn't go away until you work out, unless you wait multiple hours. This is the most interesting thing. I have been training for so many years that even if I don't take pre-workout, which is rare, but even if I don't, I still get the sensation of tingling as I am walking to the gym, because it has just been hard-coded into my physiology that as soon as I start walking on the path to the gym, I start feeling this sensation. Another personal example that I use more specifically related to work and productivity and being focused is having bone broth in the morning. Not only does time. And as you continue to do this time and time again, it's going to get to the point where as soon as you have this cue, you're basically already in a hyper-focused state. As a little bonus, before we move on to the next section, guys, in a hyper-focused state. As a little bonus, before we move on to the next section, guys, obviously, if you are watching this video right now, or if you've seen any of my videos, you know that I always 100% silence. Other people want to have very specific music. Other people want to begin this section. I love music. It's difficult. To make it impossible, you're trying to be bricked up. A brick is a tiny physical device that you can buy. I'm not affiliated with the company. I just happen to use their product and like it, where you block off certain apps that you can't use on your phone, and there's no way to get out of it unless sense of sound obviously is one of those senses. So I want to begin this section. I love music. I want to begin this section by saying this is highly variable and dependent on you and your personal interest. I have weird shit that works for me. is stripped of the music. So it's literally
I need the music, bro. I feel like the music's my trigger, like he was talking about. You know what I'm saying?
listen to music with lyrics and state project done. For example, the most common example is people that go to college and they have to write this big essay by the end of the year. All of the students believe that, oh, I have the whole year, and then they all put it off into the very last second, and it only takes them like 2 or 3 days. If you actually just set aside 2 or 3 days in the beginning, you would have been done within the first 2 or 3 days. So the point is that you should set aggressive timelines for yourself instead of saying, oh, I have all day to do this. No, literally create constraints so that you are forced to complete stuff faster. And
This
then
guy said a lot of things I like. I like this Parkinson's law thing. I do this all the time. And I like the thing he said about being bored on purpose. I'll like on purpose like making myself bored of video games, so I'm forced to like stream and make some sort of content or be productive in some sort of way, you know. Yo, 15 years in jail is crazy. Look, I saw this. If you see this on March 21st, you are destined to be a millionaire. Me and you, chat. Dude, what else am I gonna watch? I used to watch a lot of Hamza. I like to watch this guy, but I gotta see Asmin react to this because I haven't even seen the situation either.
Clavicular is our Rosa Parks, a civil rights icon. That's what they're saying. Do you really believe women don't deserve rights?
Do you really believe women don't deserve rights? Something to say, right? You said you don't believe women deserve rights?
Like which one, dude? You have to
Like
clarify.
all women. What's wrong with you for that?
Like which one?
You're weird as hell.
But like, can you clarify what you mean?
You were raised by a mother.
Well, like,
you know all women deserve rights, man.
Like which one? Like which right? Like the right to vote? Like can you explain like what you mean?
Can you explain what you mean?
I don't want to punch you. You
don't want what?
I'm going to punch you in the face, bitch. Punch you, bitch.
I can't think of a better argument against women's rights. This is...
I'm so sick of these, dude. As a single man, I'm so sick of these.
the biggest argument against women's rights that I've ever seen. Oh my God. Man.
You're getting sued for assault. I'm gonna press charges on you. Hey, hold her here, call the police.
Hold her here and call the police. All right.
Hold her, get the police.
Fucking based.
Oh, hey, grab her.
What's the what?
Get her.
Look at her face.
Call the police.
Oh no.
Call the police. Go, get the
Why are you
police.
giving attention to the rod of this clip? Because I think the amount of women that think that they can be aggressive, vitriolic, hostile, and violent with no repercussions needs to end. And every time they suffer real consequences, I think that it's a great thing. I want to see accountability. Don't you think it's staged for content? Let me get this straight. So you think that it's unlikely that a drunk woman in a club was yelling at a guy who wasn't really paying attention to her, and she basically gassed herself up to the point to where she hit the guy because she made herself so mad in the conversation, and you think this had to be staged? Really? You've never seen this happen? I hope he puts this bitch in her place. I hope he does, because these women that think that they can hit people and be violent like this, we are so bad.
He's a hero. I don't know if I could do it, cause you're seen as less of a man if you press charges. Let's be honest, you know, bro. He's a hero. Let's keep it real. Am I crazy? Absolutely not. Right?
I've had to deal with all kinds of stressful things, including moving, which is one of the most stressful things that people endure. And then I would see other shit fall off.
I see shit fall off all the time. I see shit fall off all the time, young Don. Tell me.
If I wanted to improve my productivity with my work, I would neglect relationships. If I wanted to increase my health and wellness, my fitness, my productivity at work would decrease. If I wanted to prioritize my relationships, my health and fitness would, it always felt like I was trading one thing for another. Yet for the past 6 months, my health, I'm shredded right now. Oh, am I shredded? Absolutely shredded.
Hell yeah.
Guys, I'll be honest, I haven't been to the gym in 6 months. Great physical health. My sleep has never been better. I keep making more money, month over month over month.
That's how I'm trying to be. That's exactly how I'm trying to be.
I keep making more money. My wife and I haven't fought in months. It's been over a month since my wife and I have even butted heads in the slightest. And it's been months since we've had a full, real fight. And that fight lasted less than 24 hours. When I compare that, I've been married for almost 4 years. When I look back at the previous 3.5 years of my marriage, that shit wasn't happening. We weren't going months at a time without fighting. Not since we've been married. Before we got married, we never fought. And then after we got married, we would bump heads from time to time, especially when the kids were born and we didn't know what the fuck we were doing and we were both getting overwhelmed. And then, of course, shit really hit the fan when I became religious. And shit really, really hit the fan when I took that to a very extreme place. But even after deconstructing and coming out of religion, or even prior to deconstructing and becoming less extreme, we were still fighting. And I don't think that's uncommon. I don't think it's uncommon for any couple that lives together who's been together for over 5 years, because we were dating for over a year before we got married. I don't think it's uncommon for them to butt heads at least once a month, right? I think a lot of people, they butt heads more often than that. And oftentimes, the ones who don't butt heads and fight with each other, it's because they're ignoring each other. But we are so close, closer than we've ever been, more united than we've ever been. I work from home, she works from home. We got 3 babies that are a handful. We have all of these things going on, yet no fighting. Never had a better relationship with my little sisters, my parents, my friends. Every aspect of my life gets better and better and better. It almost feels every day, to be honest. Every day I can feel myself. I feel more confident, less anxious. This is what I've always wanted. I've always wanted to feel like this. Like I got it figured out. Like I understand how to play the game of life. This is what I've always wanted since I was a child. And I never before felt like I got it. Even when I was having successes in the different arenas of my life, I never felt like I really got a handle on this shit. And it's because it took me until I was 30 to actually understand what the fuck is going on. The reality that we live in, each of us, we are designing our reality every moment of every day. Everything that you choose to engage in is actively shaping your reality. You know on Tinder how you swipe left and you swipe right? Life is kind of like that. You're presented with an event and you have the opportunity to decide whether or not you're going to engage in it and how you're going to engage with it. Oh, you notice that person has a bad attitude? Would you like to engage? Yes or no? When you get to the point, the more you can laser in on only engaging with things that serve you. That's the big thing, things that serve you, things that harmonize with your desired reality. Once you get to that place, everything just starts going well, everything just starts going easy. Everything falls into place without any effort. That's the crazy part. It doesn't feel like I'm trying. I'm not trying to stay lean. I'm not trying to grow my YouTube channels. I'm not trying to have a good relationship with my wife. All I'm doing is choosing. What do I engage in and with? Even when you
There is no try. There is do or do not.
practice gratitude, you're engaging with things that serve you. Things that, oh yeah, I want more of this shit in my life. I'm focusing on that. Another big thing to note is the significance that an event plays in shaping your reality is directly related to the strength of the emotional response that it evokes within you. And so when you approach the gas station counter and you have some gum, whether or not you take and purchase this gum will hardly do anything to shape your reality.
This stream still better than Pyrocynical.
Because it evokes no emotion. It's nothing. It's meaningless. Have the gum, don't have the gum, doesn't fucking matter. But when you bring your head up to talk to the clerk and you notice the clerk has a bad attitude, now, if you engage with that clerk, especially if you engage with that clerk with a frustrated, annoyed, angry mindset, those are the emotions that you're feeling. Now that is something which will shape your reality. And of course, even that, it's not the one event here and there that shapes your reality. It's the collective. It's all about momentum. That's why most people live unimpressive lives, because they're all over the place. They are engaging with all kinds of shit. Good shit, bad shit, shit that contradicts each other. The more you can just laser in and focus on engaging with those things that serve you. And of course, in order to know what those things are, you must have a pretty clear idea of the reality you wish to experience. Without that, then you can't discern what serves you from what doesn't serve you. Do you have a clear picture in your mind of what a perfect life for you would even look like? First, establish that.
I do, but it took a while to get there. And like, Young Don was the person to ask me that question, you know?
And once that has been clearly articulated and understood within your mind, now it's simple, now it's easy. Anything you don't want more of, do not engage with. Simple. Especially do not engage emotionally. Be neutral. I don't want my children to throw more tantrums. Doesn't mean I completely ignore them when they're throwing a tantrum. I remain emotionally neutral. You could say I'm ignoring them to a degree, but I'm not making them feel as if I'm not aware of their presence. I just communicate with my body language, eye contact, the lack of talking, that I am not interested in this behavior right here. It's like I'm looking at them like this. They're going, ah! And it's like,
And then once they calm down, I'm like, ah, that's what I want more of. Pick them up. Do that with every aspect of life. Life itself will teach you how to play the game of life if you're paying attention. You can find all of the principles of manifestation and living just a kick-ass life in literally anything. Anything, bro. Video games, working on cars, bodybuilding, relationships with friends.
Once you see the way broadly, you see it in all things.
A partner, a child, work, literally. And that's because at the end of the day, everything is just energy. And everything is being governed by the same universal principles. Even the Bible talks about that. How you can just look at nature to understand God. Everything works exactly the same way, bro. Everything. Once I realized that, life just became easy and simple. And so that's my encouragement for you today. Try and gamify life. Every event, especially the ones that evoke emotions, strong emotions, whether good or bad. Ask yourself, do I want more of this? Do I want to swipe right or swipe left? Do I want to engage? Whenever you engage, you're telling the universe, I want more of this. Especially if you engage with a high degree of emotion. That's the big thing. The better you can become a dad, the faster your life will become exactly the way you want it to be. I hope that helps.
Hell yeah. I was watching this video before I went live, to be honest. I like that video.
That negative shit. When you choose not to engage in anything that contradicts your desired reality, you are communicating clearly to the universe the reality you really want. So, like I said, the room is pretty messy right now. I'm gonna give you a little tour though. As best I can. It's not a big room. A little bit smaller than a full-size bedroom. So we got sound treatment, we got some decor, but this needs to be properly. I just look at this cable management. Dear Lord, Jesus, God damn. But don't worry, I ordered some stuff. We're gonna get this situated. We're gonna get this nice and pretty. I'm showing you this because it's like a before and after. Christian channel that I'm with. Now this is my so big thing, man.
Setup.
So I just threw up this green screen.
Cool setup.
This will the workout portion of it. Feel it. That'd be great. That'd be great. All right, guys, let's stream. I'm about to hop on stream for a party. Let's go see what they're doing. Hey, girls. Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah. Here, you give me some. There we go. You give me some. Make myself a quick snap. You really trying to be the cause of your downfall without somebody wanting to beat you up and knock you out. You can't become the heavyweight champion of the world without somebody wanting to beat you up and knock you out. You get that? You can't be the champion of a sport if there's no one to compete against, if there isn't someone who is actively trying to be the cause of your downfall. That's how you have to look at the people in your lives that seem to be operating as your enemies, as your haters, as just the people in your life who are trying to make you miserable. They are the stepping stones to you obtaining a higher level of living, a higher level of life. But you don't win by fighting them or beating them up. You win by overcoming them and staying attuned to the frequency that is in alignment with your desired reality, despite their trying to fuck with you. That's the key. They're actually incredibly useful. They help you to dial in, to clarify, and focus. See, when you don't have anybody trying to fuck with you, whether it's the universe, just random bullshit happening, or people seeming to be trying to come against you, it's very easy to kind of get lost. It's very easy to just, because things are just going so well. I was actually just in a season of that. Maybe like 2-3 weeks straight of shit just going well. And of course, that's what I want, but I mean, like, I just wasn't feeling, there was nothing, no resistance, nothing coming against me. And you kind of start to just go with the flow, go with the motion. You almost stop thinking about it. And that's okay, that's good. Those are periods, seasons of rest. But then you have to understand that there will come points where new forms of resistance will come up again. But it's for the sake of sharpening you, refocusing you. And then where people fuck up, because they get wrapped up in it, they fall for it. That shit can be a stumbling block, or it can actually accelerate you manifesting your desired reality. Look at Jesus in the Bible, right? If he fought against the people trying to come against him, instead of staying focused on his mission, he would not have been crucified. Without being crucified, he was never going to be resurrected in his ultimate Super Saiyan God form, where he's phasing through walls and flying in the air and shit like that. You know, that's a significance of turning the other cheek. It's not because some guy in the clouds is looking down at you and keeping score and judging you. When you turn the other cheek, you are telling the universe with a intentionality, because it's not natural. It's not normal to turn the other cheek. What's logical is to react to whatever situation you're presented with, whatever situation you find yourself in. What seems logical is to react to that situation in the present moment and to reciprocate the energy. It's not normal, it's not natural for someone to slap you in the face and offer the other cheek for them to slap you. That is not a literal commandment. That's not the point of that teaching. The spiritual message underneath that is saying, focus. Focus. Because when you can focus in the face of the universe, it requires so much focus. Your focus, the amount of focus that you have on what you actually want, will impact how quickly it materializes in your reality. And so the amount of focus that is required to ignore bullshit like that, like someone metaphorically slapping you in the face. That in turn translates to an accelerated rate of manifesting or aligning with your desired reality energetically, which of course then results in it materializing physically quickly enough. When Jesus says someone is suing you and they ask for your coat or your shoes or whatever, and he's like, give them your jacket too. Again, there is no fucking guy up in the sky keeping score, judging you and grading you on your kindness. That's not what the fucking point is. The point is, that person suing you is in a scarcity mindset. They believe in order to obtain, they must take from you. When you say, oh, you want my jacket? Nigga, here go my shoes too. You're in an abundant mindset. You're saying, you can take it all. I'm gonna get 10 times more. I'm infinite. You wrestling and fighting for scraps. Nigga, I'm a bottomless well. That's the point. Okay, time for what is one of my favorite times of the day, which is when I do my kettlebell workout. I really wish I could do this every day, but it kicks your ass so much that you do have to take days off. These 3 kettlebells, I have one more heavier one, but honestly, I'm not even strong enough to be using that kettlebell for the whole workout. Like this one right here gets the job done. This is 35 pounds right here, 16 kilograms.
Young Don, I don't got a kettlebell, bro. Alright, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. You squatting with it, alright. How to control reality and manifest anything. Listen, bro, I got a couple things on my bucket list I'm trying to manifest. 32-minute video, alright?
So let's talk about how exactly do you control reality, because that is the point of spirituality. To borrow a definition from my good friend Nero Knowledge, who recently sent me a signed copy of his new book, which I am thoroughly enjoying. To borrow his definition, spirituality without the ability to control your reality is vanity. Maybe I changed a word or two, but that's essentially the message. And that is what spirituality is. Spirituality is not living your life a certain kind of way. Spirituality is not about how to become a better person. Spirituality is not about living according to a certain set of moral laws or commandments. None of that is spirituality. Spirituality is coming to the awareness that God resides within you, that you are a manifestation, an individualized perspective of the eternal divine mind, and with that have all the creative power of God. You are the master of your reality. You get to determine your experience of reality. That is what spirituality is. You can use this awareness to accomplish any form of reality. For instance, if I wanted to create a reality of chaos and anarchy, well then I would align my frequency to a world of chaos and anarchy, and I would be able to achieve that with a high degree of effectiveness because I understand the relationship between the spiritual and the physical realm. In the same way, I can use that awareness to align myself to a frequency of peace, tranquility, gratitude, and happiness, kindness, and love, and that will be my experience of reality. One is neither good nor bad. It's just like how woodworking, for instance, or architecture, you can use, or engineering. What is engineering? Engineering isn't making things that better the lives of humans. Engineering is the process by which you create mechanisms that produce a desired result. That is engineering. You can use engineering to create a bridge that allows people to get over a lake. You can use engineering to build homes for the homeless. You can also use engineering to create nuclear bombs and eviscerate entire cities. Engineering isn't about getting a specific kind of result. It's about getting a desired result and understanding how to go from A to B, how to go from A to Z, how to accomplish that result. And that is what spirituality is. Spirituality is not anything else but that. That is what spirituality is. It is the art, it is the science of controlling your reality using your consciousness by first coming to the awareness that your reality is being created by your consciousness. Now, of course, I have both a 3-day and a 3-month challenge that you can participate in to prove that to yourself, and that's up to you if you are going to go on that journey. But assuming that you have already accepted that your physical reality is being created by your consciousness, let's dive into how you do that. All it takes in order to experience any reality, any version of reality that you desire to experience, is you must align yourself energetically with that version of reality. You can think of it like this. Now, I am not saying that this is exactly how it is, but you can think of it like this. This will help you to actually get your desired results. You can think of the universe as a multi-dimensional radio bandwidth, or you know how when it comes to cable and television you have multiple channels. They all exist simultaneously, but you can only ever be on one frequency if we're going to use a radio analogy, or on one channel if we're using the TV analogy. They all already exist. Any version of reality that you can fathom, that you can conceptualize, think of the multiverse from the Avengers, any version of reality that you can conceptualize, you can access, but you must align energetically. You must shift your frequency to be in alignment with that version of reality that you wish to experience. Essentially, you need to feel like the version of yourself that is already living in that reality. And at that point, your external reality, or what you perceive as the external reality, because in all reality, the external world is just a projection of your mind, but what you perceive as the external reality, the world that your avatar is navigating, will start to conform to the frequency that you've aligned yourself to. The conviction with which you are able to do this will determine how quickly you transition from one radio frequency to another, or from one channel to another. Things will shift in a gradual way, and they will shift in a way that makes sense. It's all going to make sense, because you're not actually the one doing it, right? Your conscious mind, what you perceive as you, it has nothing to do with your intelligence. It has nothing to do with what you perceive as your intellectual or mental capabilities. This is the power of God at work, which your subconscious mind is directly tapped into. That's why it's not really about what you think, it's about how you feel. However, our thoughts and what we think and the ideas we entertain and how we use our imagination, these are precisely the tools that will help us to manipulate the way we feel. That is the point of using your imagination and imagining a version of reality that you actually want to occupy, so that you can start to feel the emotions that would be associated with that reality if that was your current present reality. That's how it works. It's very simple. So for instance, if I was someone who was broke and I wanted to manifest or align with a version of reality where I now had money, I would imagine what it would feel like to have money. What are the emotions that I would feel? In all reality, the emotions that I would feel if I was a broke person, speaking for myself personally, the biggest driving factor or the biggest driving thing for me wanting money when I was broke was a sense of peace and stability. And so if I can occupy a state of peace and stability, well then my financial situation would then have to reflect a reality where I am at peace and feel stable with whatever is in my bank account. Thus, the universe will then shift and move things in the most perfect and logical way to make that a reality, to make what I feel on the inside be reflected in a logical and harmonious way on the outside. That is the process of manifestation. You got to be the person you need to be in order to experience the reality you want to experience. The reason you do not have the things you want is because you're not the person you need to be in order to have them. It's that simple. The confident guy gets the girl. The guy doesn't become confident because he gets the girl. It's that simple. You don't become better at basketball because you win games. You win games because you're good at basketball. It's all about you. It's all about who you are. That is what the universe is doing. The universe is just constructing the context. It is constructing the environment to facilitate the story that you tell yourself about yourself. And so if you tell yourself you are a certain kind of way, if you believe you are a certain kind of way, well then the universe needs to construct a reality or construct an environment to be the context, to be the substrate, to be the foundation on which that idea of yourself can take root.
Yo, I get it completely, bro. Let me put it to you in like chud talk. Alright? Real talk. Let me put it to you in like chud speak. What Young Don is saying, like, for example, let's say you just jerked off 3 times, okay? Let's say you just jerked off 3 times and you're like, oh man, I'm such a gooner. I can't go and get a job interview, or I can't go on that date with that girl. I'm such an L gooner, right? And that's what you're gonna be. But if you're like, you know, man, I gooned 3 times today, but I'm super guy. I'm super guy. And super guy can goon 3 times and still get a job interview and still go see that girl. And because super guy feels that way, reality now has to form around that idea. You see what I'm saying? And then the other guy is like, I gooned 3 times, I'm a loser now. I can't get a job, I can't get a girl, right? And so now, because he feels that way, reality has to form that way. You know? So you gotta be like indestructible, and I know all about it. I know all about it. I swear I'm back on the right path, bro. I'm out here doing I think you can call them dips. What am I doing? Y'all know what I'm doing. I'm hitting tries. You feel me? I'm hitting tries, dude. Feels good. Hitting tries for anybody who wants to watch them now. I was looking, dude. My last set of triceps, bro. It hurt my neck. I went up for 10. My neck hurt so bad, bro. The back of my neck hurt. Which sucks, because, I mean, you got to hit your 4th set. You know what I'm saying? But in my experience, bro, the 4th set's always the most dangerous. That's fucked up to jinx it, but...
And so if you start to shift your frequency and align with a different story, a different belief about who you are and what you are, well then the universe will start to shift. Things will start to move in what you perceive as the external to facilitate this new belief that you have. And the rate at which that new experience of reality takes root is determined by your conviction and how convinced you are and how emotionally charged these new beliefs are. Now, it is a fact that it is no more difficult to materialize a reality where you're a billionaire than it is to materialize a reality where you have an extra $10,000 in your bank account. For the universe itself, it is not harder. What, however, is more difficult is for you to believe it. That's what makes it more difficult. It is a matter of your faith. I'm going to appeal to a story from the Bible. There is a story in the Bible where the disciples are faced with a young boy who has come to have demons cast out of him. Now, the disciples have been casting out demons left and right for however long they've been doing it. But this man, he brings his son who is possessed by demons, and he asks the disciples to cast out demons. And they ask Jesus, when they're incapable of doing that, they ask Jesus, why were we incapable of casting out demons? And Jesus says it is because of the lack of your faith. That's simple. It's also not just a lack of the faith of the disciples, but I believe it was also a commentary on the lack of the faith of the boy and the father. Because they put all of the, naturally, they put the power of God in the hands of Jesus. If you look throughout the Bible,
I've had times where I've heard schizophrenic voices in my head. And instead of crying about it and telling someone, I was just like, God, if I was ever in a situation like that, I'd want you to give me the power to stand my own ground. You know?
You will see time and time again, anytime people are healed by Jesus, Jesus says it is your faith that has healed you. But their faith, of course, was strengthened by the miracles they saw Jesus perform, or they saw God perform through Jesus.
What do you call it? What do you call it, bro? The placebo effect. I got ran over by a car, and I like manifested that I was like unscathed. I really did, I swear. I mean, I was like hurt, you know, at least a little bit physically, but I just like kept saying I wasn't, basically. I was like, you know, I can still walk, I'm blessed. And I ran with it, literally.
But we also see in the Bible, when Jesus was trying to perform miracles in his hometown, he was...
Bro, I'm about to do the viral spider curls. I'm excited. I've definitely done it before, but it's more exciting now because it's going viral. Just a special way of curling to pump your biceps. It's going to be fun because all I've really been doing is push-ups, hitting abs, and hitting these.
Incapable of doing that because of the lack of the faith of the people in his hometown, because they were too familiar with him. Which is why many of us know what it feels like to try and give advice to a close friend or family member and they don't take it. But if that same advice came from some stranger they never met on YouTube, all of a sudden it's the greatest piece of advice they've ever heard. And that's when Jesus said, a prophet is not without honor except amongst his own people. I'm paraphrasing here. Now, why do I quote the Bible so much? I spent 3 years of my life absolutely dedicated to Christianity and the Bible. And so it's what I'm familiar with. Someone was saying, why don't you quote the Quran? Nigga, I was never a fucking Muslim. If I was a Muslim, I would be quoting the Quran left, right, and center. Because if you use ChatGPT to look for these principles in the Quran, you can find sutra or surah. See, I don't even know what the actual terminology is for the verses in the Quran. You can find shit that...
Hold up, bro. I gotta hit it. Dude, that's so baller. I gotta do like a rap song where like I sneak like something like that in there just so I can play that shit in the music video. I hope Shrimp can hear that. Dude, I'm gonna record a TikTok. No one's watching my YouTube live anyway. Oh, dude. TikTok. That's fire. Bro, who cares that clavicle got frame locked? Dude, I look chungus, but at least you can hear what I'm playing. I gotta do one where I don't look so chungus. We don't got viewers or chatters anyway. 1 sec. Like, dude, I'm gonna play the Gravity Falls theme song, but without looking is crazy. Okay, I gotta do just the chorus. I could probably hit just the chorus without looking down at the guitar too. Dude, fuck yeah. Dude, I know I gotta do the spider curls, but one sec. I promise I'll do spider curls. I'll do spider curls eventually. I want to play some guitar for TikTok, dude, honestly. I don't got no live viewers anyway. I'm gonna fix the cam for y'all though, just in case. Oh man, I got the actual kickstand, I think, on my bed. But I could just use the mic. That was trash. That was the first attempt. Fuck. Bro, I look so chungus when I gotta look down at the guitar, bro. But when I don't look down, I miss the notes. Fuck. I missed it. Gotta go way further than that. I had to look down though. watch TikTok. Wasn't I streaming or something? It's 9 p.m. Promise some spider curls, dude. Watch the manifestation video. I'll follow y'all.
Matches it, especially in Hadith. Same thing in Zoroastrianism. Same thing in the Hermetic religions of the ancient Egyptians. It's just that I never fucking did that shit. I completely put my entire life on pause for 3 years to pursue Jesus and the religion of Christianity and have a relationship with God and all that fucking shit. And, you know, I came out the end and deconstructed. And look, that's fine. You can be a Christian. I love Christians. I have no problem with that. But please don't get shit twisted.
Alright, let's go harass these guys. Hey.
We have so much gold right now.
The Bible didn't teach me any of this shit. Life taught me this shit. Listening to actual people who understand spiritual, they help me to realize what we all already have inside of us. You don't need me to teach you this shit. All of this is inside of you. All I do is wake you up. I get you to start seeing the patterns in your own life, and then you will start to teach yourself, which is why in the Bible, Jesus says that no one will need to teach you. Nobody does need to teach you. In fact, it will get to a point where you'll be so tapped into the source that continuing to listen to other people trying to explain this shit will become confusing. I barely listen to, when I first started on this journey, I was listening to guys like Neville Goddard. I was listening to my bro, Euro Knowledge. I was listening to, there are a variety of pretty good guys, and they're all saying essentially the same thing. They just articulate it a little differently. And then one day it all clicks. It all fucking clicks, and you see all the patterns, and everything makes sense, and it doesn't take long at all. And then now it's about trusting yourself. It's about trusting the process. It's about sticking with the process, proving it to yourself. And then once you have that evidence, once you have manifested the shit in your own life, once you have held an energetic frequency consistently and long enough and see your actual reality conform to it, you will become a believer. You will understand that this is how the world works. But even more, the beautiful thing that I get as an advantage to me as someone who runs a reaction channel is I get to see the lives of other people. And I never, not once, ever do I see any of these metaphysical laws that govern reality ever be contradicted. It always goes the same way. Man feeds into negativity, more negativity happen. Man feeds into positivity, more positivity happen. People get mad at person, he doesn't give a fuck, nothing happens to him. People get mad at person, he gives a big fuck, his life falls apart. Person complains a lot and believes that the course of his life is determined by external circumstances, his life is a living hell. The people who are the wealthiest and happiest are also the people who seem to not give a fuck at all about anything happening around them. They're completely focused on themselves. What you persist or what you resist persists, right? Dude tries to chase a girl runs away. Girl is not interested. Dude doesn't give a fuck about a girl comes to him. Why? Because it's not that he doesn't give a fuck that makes her come to him. It's that he's in a state of abundance. He's in a mental state where he takes her for granted. And anything you take for granted comes to you easily. And what are the things you take for granted? The things that you already possess. Which is why when you assume the feeling, the state of already having the thing you want, that's why it comes to you. Because the universe, it's not even that it comes to you. It already belongs to you in a different version of reality. All you've done is shift your frequency to that reality where it's already in your possession. That's all that's happening. Reality has to shift to match your internal state. That's how it works. So if you're in an internal state of abundance, thinking, man, I fuck bitches with ease, I bag bitches with ease, how would I feel if that was a reality? How would I move? How would I talk? What emotions would I feel? I would be, one, first and foremost, relaxed in regards to the topic of women. And then the external, presently, might be like reflecting a situation where you don't get bitches, but then it picks up, the universe picks up on the shift in your frequency, and it starts to recalibrate and says, oh, this nigga just entered I get bitches energy. Now we gotta move shit around, and now fucking you're walking through the mall, you know, this chick's staring at you, right? You go to a restaurant, the waitress fucking flirting with you. You know what I'm saying? The girl at work who was never paying attention to you, now she is like touching you and, you know, inviting you places. That's it. That's all that happened. That's why you will see dudes go from dick riders to haters to meat riders, back and forth, bro. That's the reason why you should never hate on anybody for anything, because you can have whatever you want. Anything you see somebody have, that is just evidence of the energetic state that they've been holding to consistently. If you want what they have, you just need to assume the same energetic state and you'll have it. That's why jealousy and envy is a sin. It's fucking stupid. That's why stealing is a sin. It's fucking stupid. Why would you ever steal? You could have it. You already have it. You actually just need to align with the version of reality where it's in your possession and it will materialize in your hand. That's why killing is a sin. Well, that's why all of these things, anything that communicates a sense of powerlessness, anything that communicates a sense of you can't create it, you can't bring it into existence, and so you have to use force and coercion and deceit and manipulation to try and take it from someone else. That is you confessing to the universe that you don't even realize that you are yet another manifestation of God, as we all are. And as the Bible put it, we were made in the image of God, right? But Muslims are, you know, a Muslim, a Christian, an atheist, they are all equally connected to God. It's just a matter of awareness. It is just a matter of awareness. We are all actively manifesting our entire reality, whether you realize it or not. And that's why you'll see people, mostly atheists and Christians, will sometimes come in the comment section and they'll say bullshit. But notice not a single one of them ever comments that the things that I'm teaching are harmful or bad. Why? Because I teach peace, right? I say if everybody manifested a world of peace, we would have literal global world peace within like 6 months. If everybody aligned to the frequency of being at peace, it would be that easy, that simple. And so what are they going to rail about in my teachings? My teachings are biblical. People, they have Christians. Now I got a lot of Christians that fuck with me heavily. It's even these teachings, and they'll say, oh, you sound more Christian than when you were a Christian, which is hilarious. But what it is I sound more like Jesus. It's not that I sound more Christian. I just sound more like Jesus because I get it now. That's why you have some Christians that are called red letter Christians. They only care about the words of Jesus. They don't give a fuck about anything else that was said in the Bible. Not that there aren't plenty of other valuable things in other portions of the Bible, especially the Old Testament, to be real with you. But there's also a lot of stuff that is just a product of the culture of that time. And, not everything in it is for the sake of empowering you spiritually. That's the harsh reality of it. We don't need to get into all of that, right? It's just that once you understand how the universe works, then when you read these spiritual books, the Quran, the Bible, the Vedas, which is the Hindu scriptures, right? The Hermetic writings, the writings of Zoroastrianism, you'll be able to pick out the shit that is actually real from the shit that is just clearly irrelevant to the science of spirituality. Yeah, man, it's awesome. It's sick. And so that's how you control your reality, guys. It's all about aligning. And how do you do it? You use your imagination. Your imagination is the tool by which you will manipulate your reality. Because you first need to imagine the reality that you want to experience. And you have plenty of experience doing that. You do it with fear all the time. Most people have been doing it with fear their entire life. Right? Like, imagine a cockroach crawling on the back of your neck right now. Ooh, all of us were able to do that with ease. And you'd be like, oh, right? I don't know why, but it's actually, I do know why. It's because we live in a reality of society. This version of reality that we're all tapped into this frequency is one that thrives on negativity. And so we have a lot of experience using our imagination to imagine shit we don't want to happen. But we've been so discouraged from being optimistic and positive and imagining shit that we actually want to happen and to dream. You're called unrealistic, you're called delusional if you think to yourself that you can be anything and do anything. And so we're not encouraged to exercise our imagination muscles in positive ways. But you can do it. In the same way how you can imagine that bad thing, now I want you to imagine you sitting in a Lamborghini. You're in your driveway. Think about wherever your car is parked. If you don't have a car, think about the driveway of the residence that you're currently occupying. Now imagine yourself walking out of the door to where that car would be parked. And imagine a Lamborghini, whatever color you like. I'm going to imagine a red one. Opening that door, sitting inside, sitting down, gripping the wheel. And now you're about to go to Whole Foods. Let's pull up the Whole Foods. How are you going to feel when you pull up the Whole Foods in that Lamborghini? Now, that feeling you're feeling is not actually the feeling of owning a Lamborghini. It is. But what you're really feeling is confidence. What you're really feeling is a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah,
a sense of even importance. And so that's why, me personally, I don't actually spend a lot of spiritual energy trying to materialize specific situations like that. I focus on the core emotions, like being at peace, and then allow the universe to align a frequency that manifests peace in every area of my life. And it's also an incredible faith builder, because as you shift to that state of being at peace, you're going to start to notice peace, a more peaceful reality manifesting immediately, within days, within months. You'll be super convinced. But how long is it going to take you to summon the amount of conviction that you need to actually materialize a Lamborghini in your garage if you're starting from zero? If you're starting from someone with little to no faith at all in your manifestation abilities or in the laws of metaphysics, to trust them enough to apply them consistently. That's why so many people fail and never materialize anything, because they hear about this shit and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to manifest $1 million in my bank account. And what they end up doing is living their lives as they normally do, but then maybe block out segments out of their day to just visualize them having $1 million. But they don't walk around 24/7 in this state of, I have $1 million. They don't feel that way. And they have all these things reminding them that that's not true. Their bank account, the car they drive, where they live, the overdue bills, the past due bills, and all that shit fucks with their confidence, fucks with their faith, fucks with their conviction. And then it just, it all messes up. But peace is a lot easier to maintain. It's a lot easier to just focus on, not even just peace, any core emotion. You just ask yourself, what am I manifesting right now? What emotional state, what energetic state I'm in? Because your energetic state is communicated by your emotions. That's how you know what frequency, what energetic state you're in. And so you can look internally and ask yourself, how do I feel right now? Am I at peace? Am I at peace? What does it mean to be at peace? It means to not want anything. It means to not need anything. Am I in an emotional place right now where I don't need anything? Nothing's bothering me. And then you look, you search inside, you try to find it if there is something that is bothering you. Did you just have a fight with your girl? That's bothering you. Well, ask yourself, what would need to happen? What would my reality need to be right now that I would no longer be bothered with my girl? It would be, I'd be at peace. And then you would maybe imagine a situation where your girl is being very respectful to you. Maybe you were bothered because she was being rude to you. Well, just imagine a reality where you've already made up and she said to you, you know, I appreciate you so much, I love you, and I respect you. And I'm going to go forward respecting you to the utmost. Imagine if that actually just happened. How would you feel? How would you be? But this is the big thing. If your actions don't align with your imagined reality, then you're not really dialed in. And so you can't imagine that and then pass her in the hallway and give her the cold shoulder. No, how would you actually interact with her had she just done that thing, just made up with you in that way? And then that's how you would interact with her. You have to be consistent, and it will make the feeling stronger. And then things will start to shift, and she will start to change her behavior. But the big thing is, even if you don't see an immediate change in her attitude and how she behaves, the thing you're focused on is your internal state. And so you pass her and you try to have a pleasant demeanor about you. Maybe you give her a smile. Maybe you ask her if she needs anything to eat because you're about to go run out and get something to eat. And then she's like, no. Gives her attitude, no. Oh, okay, for sure. Well, I'm gonna go hit Chipotle. I'll be right back. And then you're driving to Chipotle again. And then the thought comes up again of how she spoke to you earlier that day. And you start to be bothered again. That's when, oh, I'm losing my peace. I'm not at peace anymore. And then you dial back in to that imagined reality. What would you just ask yourself these two questions on a consistent basis? What am I manifesting right now? That's how you tap into the emotional state that you're in. What emotions? What is the dominant emotion that I am feeling right now? Okay, boom, I've identified that. What is causing me to feel that way? boom, my perception of this certain situation, this certain aspect of my reality. Okay, what would my reality need to be in order for me to be in a state of peace, to not need anything, to not want anything? Boom, these factors would need to change. All right, let me imagine what that would be like. What would that feel like? Now you're just trying to hold that again. And then you can combine that with doing other things in the physical realm that help to relax you and help you maintain that state of peace, using smile technique, the most powerful tool that I have found thus far in my spiritual journey in stopping negative thoughts, negative feelings, and redirecting you into a state of gratitude. I talk about that in one of my previous videos. You can go ahead and check that out. I'll put it up in the corner for you to go and see. But yeah, guys, that's how you control your reality. This was a very powerful video. I hope it helps.
So today I'm going to explain to you how it is that I use the people in my life to manifest my desired reality. It's the kind of thing that I think it's easier if I just tell you how exactly I'm doing it specifically in my life, and then I think from there it will make understanding the concept easier. So that's how we're going to start it. So I am happily married with 3 beautiful children, and I have a myriad of things that I'm actively manifesting, right? I'm actively, there is a reality that I am actively aligning with energetically, which is just emotionally, right? We already know this. In order to manifest a reality, you have to be the person that belongs in that reality. So if you want to manifest the reality of a winner, well, you must be a winner. And what does it mean to be something? It just means that you believe you are that. It just means that you feel you are that, because the only difference between the version of yourself that is a winner and the version of yourself that is a loser is the winner believes he's a winner. The loser believes he's a loser. That's why even when winners lose, they don't see themselves as losers. They see themselves as experiencing a learning experience. They see themselves as, oh, I just experienced something out of the ordinary. Even if a winner has a string of losses, they would just see it as them being in a rut. They don't identify as being a loser. A loser, however, does the reverse. Okay, I think you get it now. Anyway, so I'm actively aligning with my desired reality emotionally. I see myself as the person that belongs in reality that I would like to see reflected in my experience of reality. Well, my wife and I are on the same accord. What do I mean by that? In my desired reality, my wife is at peace. In my desired reality, my wife is at peace. And so I actively interact with my wife in such a way as to encourage peace. And in so doing, understanding that our reality is just a reflection of the energetic / emotional frequency that we are occupying or maintaining most consistently. If I do my part in encouraging an emotional state of peace in my wife, then her reality, her external reality, will reflect that if she's holding it consistently. Well, with me being the main breadwinner of the house, for instance, well, my wife is going to be more at peace if I'm making more money. My wife is going to be more at peace if I'm healthy. My wife is going to be more at peace if I am confident. And so when opportunities arise where I have the chance to influence how my wife is feeling, when I actively make the decision to interact with her in such a way that encourages her to have an emotional state of peace, happiness, joy, gratitude, any of those emotional frequencies that are in alignment with the reality that I wish to occupy. We're going to the store, baby. I actually am on my way from the trampoline park with my eldest daughter. I just took her there. We had a bunch of fun, and now we are on our way to the store. Okay, so check this out. Let's reverse it. If you didn't catch it that time, you're surely going to catch it this time if you have a basic understanding of how manifestation works, the law of assumption works. Let's say you would like to manifest a reality where you are the heavyweight boxing champion of the world, right? Now imagine if all the people in your life were actively behaving in such a way to convince you that you are worthy, that you are good enough, talented enough, skilled enough to be the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. Would that not make it easier to assume the state mentally and emotionally of being the heavyweight boxing champion of the world even before you secure the belt? The Bible teaches us this. Of course, without the true spiritual esoteric understanding, without actually understanding the metaphysical principles of the world, a lot of it just seems like nice suggestions of ways to behave. The Bible says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It just seems like a nice thing to do, a proper way to behave, a moral way to behave. And on a superficial level, we all understand that when you are nice to somebody, they will typically return that energy to some degree, as opposed to if you are nasty or cruel or mean to someone, typically they will respond accordingly. Everybody understands that superficial interaction. Well, the underlying spiritual implications is understanding that the emotional frequency that people inhabit most consistently will then be reflected in the reality that they manifest. And so, for instance, let's say my wife does something that I would rather she would have done differently, or that she would have made a different decision. There are all kinds of ways in which I could approach her to discuss that. Oftentimes, what people do, especially what men are encouraged to do in red pill spaces, in traditional masculine spaces, is to berate your wife, to remind her who's boss and make it very clear that you're displeased with her, evoking a sense of guilt and shame. Well, if you do that, and you cause her to stay in that emotional state. You encourage her to stay in that emotional state. Well, guess what? She's then going to manifest a reality which reflects being in an energetic or emotional frequency of guilt and shame, meaning she'll manifest a reality that will then encourage her to have more feelings of guilt and shame. Remember, to whomever has, to him more will be given. You get more of whatever you focus on. I invite you to check out my video on how reality works. It explains it perfectly. Reality works very much like a social media algorithm. What's wrong, baby? You hear? She said nothing. She just wants to be a part of the conversation. Daddy's talking to the camera, okay? All right, thank you, baby. You're being such a good girl. See, that's a perfect example. I could have responded in a more, I need you to be quiet, Daddy's working, creating feelings of negativity within her, which then naturally leads to her manifesting a reality where she has more feelings of that negativity, which looks like her doing what? Throwing a tantrum, whining, crying, which of course would then irritate me, causing me to then say something again. Do you understand? It's all a loop. It's all a feedback loop. Wherever you focus your energy, you're just going to get more of that. If you don't want something to persist in your experience of reality, don't feed into it. Don't feed into anything you don't want more of. If I then were to treat my wife in such a way to cause her to occupy feelings of shame, guilt, and the like, well, then she's going to manifest a reality that encourages her to have more feelings of shame, guilt, and the like, which naturally would include how we feel, our interactions. Naturally, it's going to manifest in a way where I will continue to make her feel guilt and shame. She's going to do things that will then result in me feeling like I need to chastise her even more, and thus she feels more feelings of guilt and shame. You always get more of what you already have. But it won't just stop there, because remember, the universe does not compartmentalize. Everything is just pure energy from the perspective of the universe, the eternal God, however you would like to frame it. And so, if I encourage feelings of guilt and shame and anger and frustration in my wife by the way I communicate with her, being harsh instead of gentle, being domineering and controlling instead of understanding and merciful and kind and patient, well then, she's going to manifest a reality where I am more likely to respond to her in that way, which would then include even something like my YouTube channels not performing as well. Because if my YouTube channels aren't performing as well, what? What is it, baby? What do you want? Huh? You want what? What do you want, baby? What? I can't, Daddy's driving, baby. I can't see it right now. But remember, if you're patient and quiet, Daddy will take you to the store. Okay? You want to go to the store? All right, so I need you to be patient and quiet, okay? Daddy's driving, so I can't really look behind you right now. Okay, all right. You see what I did there? I incentivize her compliance. Instead of punishing, I say, hey, you'd like to go to the store? We're going to the store right now. Okay, well then, I need you to be patient and quiet. And so, from her perspective, she's making the decision to comply so that she can get something that she wants. My wife manifests a reality where which includes, and this is just an example, something like my YouTube channel not performing as well, something like a malfunction with the car, something like an unexpected bill coming up. This then leads to me being more than likely more frustrated, which leads to me having a shorter temper, a shorter fuse, which then leads to me being more easily irritated and thus snapping on her, thus completing the loop, creating more feelings of frustration, anger, guilt, shame, whatever in my wife. This is the power of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. When you have people, especially the people that are closest in your life, when these people in your life, you encourage feelings of peace, well, you have to imagine that if their peace and well-being in part is associated with you doing good in life, like you doing better in life makes their life better, well then, when you encourage emotions that are in alignment with that, we're going to the store, baby. This is another thing, remember guys, she's 3 years old. And so she'll ask me a million times, even though I tell her, baby, we're going to the store. It's like she is worried that we're not going to go to the store. And so she's actively reminding me, you want to go to the store, baby? Okay, we're going to the store, okay? Daddy and Meadow go to the store? Yeah, children need repetition. This is also exactly for the same reason why it is unreasonable to punish a child for misbehaving in a way that you told them a million times. They just don't get it. They don't understand. I don't know what to call it. It's just they have baby brain. So, that's for my youngins who want to be parents one day, or for parents of young children. That's how I deal with my kids. It's how I've learned to deal with my kids, understanding the metaphysical principles of the universe. Now, let me create a different example, right? Let me create a different example. So I used to work in construction, right? Briefly, I took a break from YouTube and I work in construction. And I had a boss, great guy. Well, my boss's peace and happiness and feelings of stability, of course, were in part contingent on the performance of the company, how much money we were making, which of course is dictated by the performance of the members of the team. So I go to work, let's say I go to work, and I do more than the bare minimum. I give it my best effort. That then results in my boss having a good situation, right? Things being better for my boss, things looking better for my boss. Well then, that encourages him to be in a state of peace and relax because things are going well, because I'm working hard and doing my job to the best of my abilities. I am now seen as a valuable asset in his eyes. Well then, guess what? That makes me somebody that he doesn't want to let go easily. And so that then results in me getting a raise, being treated well. I call out sick, they don't make a big deal out of it. You know, I encourage a state of peace in his life. My experience of reality is tied, intertwined with his experience of reality because I'm his employee. Him being in a state of peace will then manifest a reality for me that will encourage me to do more things, manifest in a state of peace in his life. I'm just trying to help you to understand the feedback loop mechanism here, how it works. And in both of those situations, if we were to flip the table, I put myself in the shoes of my wife. If I did something to irritate my wife, how would I want her to treat me? Wouldn't I want her to address me in such a way where I don't have to feel bad afterwards? Wouldn't I want her to address the situation in such a way where she's not trying to make me feel guilty or frustrated or angry? That's what I would want done for me, right? Everybody wants to be treated as if they are the most important person in the world. That's really what everybody wants, because everyone is a manifestation of God. And so just ask yourself, how would I treat this person if they were the most important person in the world? Because that's how you want to be treated. And when you treat people the way they want to be treated, when you treat people in a way, ask yourself, and of course, now I'm not telling you to do this for every Bill, Joe, and Bob that you cross paths with. This is where the spiritual understanding comes into play. You do this for one random person on the street that you'll never interact with again. Yes, there is a butterfly effect that can occur that can then positively impact your life. And you also have to remember that you are also assuming a certain energetic state when you treat someone with kindness. So for instance, a homeless person might not be able to really impact your reality that much if you show them some kindness, the way how your wife will impact your reality if you encourage an energetic state of peace, happiness, relaxation, calmness, all of that, serenity. But if you are going to generously give to a homeless person, you have to be in an energetic state of abundance. And then of course having that state of abundance will then align you with a reality where you have a lot, where you have enough money to give. So I'm not discounting, we're going to the store, baby. Okay, we're almost there, okay? So I'm not discounting the importance of treating everyone well, but the most important people to apply this with are the people that are most intertwined with your experience of reality. Your family, your children, your wife, your girlfriend, your close friends, your coworkers, your boss. And so understand that you can exploit the effect that you are having on these people in a positive way. It's all going to benefit you because you now become a part of the mechanism that makes them feel good, feel the way they want to feel. And so they're incentivized to treat you in such a way that then encourages you to continue making them feel good. And they will help to manifest a reality where you are in a state where it's easy to help you continue making them feel good. I encourage a state of peace in my wife. My wife is in a state of peace. Her world is more at peace when I'm making more money. So without her visualizing, doing any affirmations, actively trying to manifest a world where I make more money, just by her being in that energetic state of peace, and you get more of what you already have, naturally I'm going to make more money. This is the significance, the spiritual significance behind the verse in the Bible that talks about, how can two walk together unless they agree, as well as there is power in a multitude of prayer. All prayer are people aligning their desires and intentions. But remember what Jesus says about prayer. He says, anything you ask for in prayer, believe that you have already received it and it will be yours. And so all that's talking about are multiple people committing to be in the same energetic frequency. So that, my friends, is how you get the people in your life to help to manifest your desired reality. Every month since I started doing this, I've made 25 to 45% more than I did the previous month. And I started this in February. It is now June. My YouTube channels are growing faster and faster. Whilst I am trying less. See, before I understood how the universe worked, I was brute forcing reality. That is what most people do. That's what everyone does. They think if you want to make more money, you have to work harder. No. If you want to make more money, you need to align energetically with making more money. Yeah. All right. Well, my 3-year-old daughter is getting incredibly patient. I don't know why, but children are irritated. They get irritated by things like this, not being a part of the conversation. I could have been talking to my wife right now. If my wife was here, she would be in the back and she would start fussing and she would start babbling. They just want to be a part of the conversation. Anyway, she's done pretty well. So I'm just going to end the video here. I hope that helps.
I want wings. I want black or red wings. I want black or red wings.
So in today's video, I want to talk about how I wasted a large amount of my 20s, a large chunk of my 20s, searching for purpose in all the wrong places. Now, let's start with purpose, the meaning of the word purpose. What do I mean by purpose? A lot of young men struggle with this. A lot of young men contemplate this. How do I find my purpose in life? Now, what do we mean by purpose? Well, here's a cell phone, right? This is my iPhone. What is the purpose of this phone? It allows me to communicate with the world. I can make phone calls, I can post on social media, I can post on YouTube. Also has some other capabilities, but primarily that is the purpose of a phone. It allows you to communicate with people. So what is then your purpose? Well, what are you meant to do? How are you supposed to live life? That's really what we're trying to figure out when, as a young man, you ask yourself, what is my purpose? It's for the sake of getting to the end of your life
and being able to say that I lived a good life. I lived life properly. I used my life properly. It's just like a phone. If you don't use it for its intended purpose, well, then it breaks. If you use it improperly, it breaks. So if I were to try and cook eggs with my iPhone, I would damage it, it would break, it would be a waste of this object. In a similar fashion, I think a lot of people, not just men, but I primarily speak to men across all my forms of content, we don't want to get to the end of our lives and think we lived life improperly. And so from a young age, I have felt this need, this desire to find my purpose, to find the purpose in my life. I want to know that once I was great and old, I wouldn't look back and feel as if I have a ton of regrets or as if I had wasted my life. Because when we look around, it appears as if so many people are wasting away their lives, right? So let's go back to childhood first, I'll speak for myself. Wherever you relate, you relate. But when I was a child, I first was given a model of how to live life properly by my mother. Of course, my father and I have a great relationship, but they got divorced when I was very young, and so I grew up primarily being influenced by my mother as a boy growing into a young man. And the model that she laid out for me was, you go to church, you go to school, you get a degree, you go to university, you get a good job, you get married, you stay married, you have a family, you stay close to your family, and you manage your money as well as you can to make the most out of it. If opportunity arises to start a business or invest in things like real estate, then you do those things, and maybe if you're fortunate, you can actually amass a good amount of wealth at some point in the future. That's more or less the model that my mother communicated to me. However, as I got older, and that was the course I was on, but as I got older, I started to think that, well, I think there's more to life. There are more options, right? That didn't seem very appealing. It didn't seem appealing to me as I approached the age of 18. I just didn't think the basic, normal, not that anything's wrong with it, but the basic, normal, go to school, get a degree, become a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer or something like that, get a job that pays you around 6 figures, somewhere in that range. It just didn't seem very appealing to me. Also, I never felt very connected with God as a child. I wanted to be, I tried to be, I prayed to God, I went to church every single Sunday, unless someone was sick or we were out of town or something, but for as long as I can remember, my mother took me to church every Sunday. And I participated in church, I read Bible verses from the altar, I read the Bible, I went to Bible study, I went to school in Jamaica. I grew up in Jamaica. Jamaica is an incredibly Christian country, at least culturally, when it comes to spirituality or religion at the very least. As we know now, there's a difference between religion and spirituality. However, what that meant was we prayed in school every day. School started with a devotion. We would sing hymns and worship God. We would pray together. We would give offering and donations. Where did that money go? I don't fucking know. I don't know if it had anything to do with Jesus, but we gave money in the name of Jesus. And so that's how I grew up, right? But yet I never felt, it was clear when I read the Bible and I read the stories in the Bible, the kind of communication you see between God and the characters in the Bible, I never experienced that. No matter how much I prayed, no matter how much I asked, I never heard a voice. There was no clear communication the way how God presented himself to Abraham in a bush that wasn't consumed by fire or sent angels or things of that nature. And I really just didn't get all of it. I mean, I could go into it more, but why exactly did he have to kill his son? Couldn't he have just forgiven everybody? Why does he burn people in hell forever? Why doesn't he just send a clear message to everybody? What happens to the people who don't hear about it? And if the people who don't hear about it are spared because of their ignorance, then wouldn't it be better to not tell anybody about it so that everyone could benefit from ignorance and that way just live a normal life? And so many problems that I saw. And then of course I started reading books by atheists like Richard Dawkins and reading books like The God Delusion, and so many logical problems were presented in regards to the God of the Bible and the God of fundamentalist monotheistic religion. And so by the time I was like 17, 18, I was completely over religion, and I was around the age, at 16, turning 17, I moved to America, and as soon as I had the opportunity, I stopped going to church, I stopped reading the Bible, because to me it just felt like theater, it felt like a waste of time, and I was uninterested, and I didn't see how it was benefiting me. That's the big thing, and I think it's a big reason why a lot of young people stop going to church. It's because the societal pressure to be a Christian or to be someone who goes to church just doesn't really exist anymore. And when it is removed from your life does not seem to get worse in any significant way. It didn't when I was 17, and it didn't when I was 29, and I deconstructed from Christianity. My life got no worse as a result of having left it, which is very unlike any other thing in your life that is actually benefiting you. If something is actually benefiting you and is good for you, then you should notice things getting worse when you stop doing it. Working out objectively makes you healthier. And so if you stop working out, you should notice the quality of your life decreasing. You can apply this to your sleep habits, the kind of food you eat, the kind of people you're around, the way you spend your time. If something is doing good in your life, when you remove it, you should be able to notice a decrease or a worsening of the quality of your life. Well, that didn't happen when I stopped even trying to participate at the age of 16, and it definitely didn't happen when I did it at 29, after I had my own genuine zeal and putting my own real effort and tried my best and was so committed with the brain of an adult. When I left religion, my life didn't get any worse. And quite frankly, my life is exponentially better now, just 6 months after, well, more like 8 months after having deconstructed and gone down this new path of consciousness and spirituality. My life is infinitely better. I make money incredibly easily. My marriage has literally never been better in every way. Life is so good. The amount of love that I'm getting and receiving on YouTube from creators and subscribers, I mean, it's better than it's ever been. And things are going upwards in a very, accelerated way. My health is better. My stress has never been lower. I've never been more confident in my life. My life has objectively gotten better in every single way after having left the religion of fundamental
Christianity, fundamentalist Christianity. Now, I don't say this to discourage you if you're a Christian. There are definitely ways to operate as a Christian, be a Christian, and reap many of, if not even the same amount of the benefits of the spiritual practices we talk about on this channel. I'm just communicating to you, though, that I don't think any religion, any tradition, any culture has a monopoly on spiritual enlightenment and spiritual empowerment. I don't want to get on too much of a tangent. I say all that to say that at a young age, around 17, I realized that that just didn't appeal to me. I wanted more out of life. And so, okay, I went into high school and I thought, you know what, success is what is going to make me feel fulfilled. Being very successful is what will make me feel fulfilled. And having moved to America and joining the basketball team, having always been passionate about basketball, I set my sights on going to the NBA. I thought to myself, if I could only make it to the NBA and become a multimillionaire, I would be very successful, I'd be famous, I'd feel as if I had done what I was supposed to do in my life, become successful, take that money, buy my mom a mansion, have a wonderful life that is filled with financial and other forms of success and all that. But eventually, I didn't see the basketball thing panning out, and I shifted to wanting to just be my own boss in some capacity. Eventually, I fell into YouTube. I discovered the law of attraction through the book The Secret. I didn't quite understand it at that point in time, reflecting on it. However, I understood it enough in order to materialize a successful YouTube career, which, guys, I want that to be an encouragement to you, that don't worry about whether or not you understand it perfectly. It's just like the guy who doesn't understand the science of weight training and bodybuilding perfectly. The fact that he's getting up every day with the right intentions to walk down that path and see results, he's going to see results in his life. And as he continues to practice it with time, if he stays the course, he will understand it better and see even more gains coming out of every workout. In the same way, even if you don't completely perfectly understand the law of attraction, just by having the intention and putting in the effort, you're going to start to see progress. And as you continue down that path, you're going to see even more and more progress as your understanding deepens, as you connect more with God that is already within you. So I fell into YouTube, used the law of attraction, which I was, again, doing improperly. I see that now. Improperly from the sense of I didn't understand it holistically. And for that reason, after I gained my success on YouTube, I started to doubt it, which is so backwards, right? You would think you apply the law of attraction, you want to manifest something, you actually manifest it, and then you start doubting it. Isn't that crazy? But that's what happened. You know, I was influenced by all the narratives about it being New Age and this and the third, not knowing that even Jesus himself taught it in the book of Mark. Anything you ask for in prayer, if you believe you have already received it, it will be yours. And so I just chalked up my success to being consistent, hardworking, talented, and being a little lucky. And combine that with the motivation or the drive that I had that was fueled by my delusion of the law of attraction. Everything, just the stars aligned and it all worked out. However, I can see now how there were so many synchronicities, so many things that just aligned perfectly while I was in that law of attraction mindset that allowed for me to become a successful YouTuber. I'm talking about things that have nothing to do with YouTube. So many things aligned. It's a shame how I just didn't really get it, which then ultimately led me to wasting much of my 20s, because after I no longer believed in the law of attraction, because I thought, again, it was just New Age, it was magical thinking, it was, a delusion, that just ended up working out for me. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when a kid is learning to ride a bicycle and his dad is behind him holding the bike, and he's pedaling, and he doesn't realize his dad stopped holding the bike. That belief that his dad is still helping him is motivating him to keep going forward without being afraid. And by the time he looks back and sees his dad in the distance, he realizes, man, I just went all this way by myself. And so I guess I don't need my dad. And then he can keep riding the bike. Well, unfortunately, that's what happened with me in the law of attraction. I was convinced it was a delusion. And so I just chalked it up to all the things I have already mentioned. But here's where that was the beginning of the end, in the sense that instead of continuing to just conquer the fucking universe, things started to destabilize and then ultimately resulted in things going the way that they did, which we're going to talk about for those of you who might be new to me. Some of you know my story very intimately because I've been a YouTuber for 8 years and you've been following me for 8 years. And so you've seen just about every chapter of the story. But for those of you who might be new or aren't super tapped in, and maybe there's some holes in the timeline of young Don, then this will be a good opportunity for you to understand. Anyway, so because I relinquished this belief that I was the cause of my success on YouTube via law of attraction, I then put the cause of my success in the hands of the external. That's what you do. If you are not the cause, if the cause isn't you, then it's got to be something else. And so what was that something else? The opinions of others, luck, the YouTube algorithm. I started to put the power in the hands of others. You cared about what people think. Oh, what's the right video I should make to please these people? How do I service my followers? And then from a young age, I've had an interest in music. That's a whole story in of itself. But having gained a following on YouTube and having friends who are rappers, it gave me enough confidence to try it out. But unlike with when I first was trying to become a YouTuber, I had so much fear and anxiety bogging me down because of, the narrative. It's so hard to transition from being a YouTuber to a rapper. That narrative is so loud and prominent. And then, what if I start making music and my fans don't like it and they think it's cringe? And, what if I'm not good? I just had all these fears bogging me down, not realizing that the universe is always in the palm of your hand, not just my hand, in all of our hands at all times. It doesn't matter if you're a teenager, you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, the moment you wake up, the universe is in your hands. And you have the ability to manifest as amazing a life as you want with the time you have left on this planet. But in regards to that point in my life where I was making music, not even consistently, but, it wouldn't go more than a few months before I would drop some more music.
it was as I was getting towards the end where I would ultimately stop for several years, that shit started to pick up and continue to go crazy after I stopped making music, which reflects the principle, the metaphysical principle of the universe, that what you chase escapes. And it is only once you detach that things come easily. But along with that period of my life, I started to also have other fears in regards to my YouTube channel, in regards to my Young Don the Soft God Animations channel. Despite the fact that every animation I posted, more or less, was cracking 1 million views, I was becoming afraid. Why? Well, for one, it just seems as if nobody really lasts forever, right? As a YouTuber, there is a shelf life, it would seem. And by this point, I'd already been a YouTuber for probably around 5 years. And I was wondering, you know, how long is this going to last? Of course, you always had people in the comment section, oh, he's running out of stories, running out of stories. And I didn't really see myself as running out of stories. But at the same time, I was like, am I running out of stories? I guess, you know, a lot of these stories I tell are from my childhood. Now I spend all my time inside telling these stories. I'm not really living life like that to be making new stories on a regular basis. Maybe I'm gonna run. And just fear just started to seep in, all finding their roots, their foundation back in the fact that I had taken the power out of my own hands and put it in the hands of the external. And so even though I found myself in a position where I was making over $20,000 a month, I had fame, I was still very young, I was in my mid-20s, I started asking myself the same question in regards to purpose again. Am I living my life properly? Am I doing this right? And around the time that COVID happened, which was around the same time that Kevin Samuels started to blow up, who is a deceased dating coach, I suppose we could say. He was an older man in his 50s, I think, and he had a dating show where he would invite on middle-aged, young to middle-aged, single women, primarily black, and he would give them dating advice. And even though he himself was a man that was married and then divorced, he would speak about the importance of being married. And I definitely grew up with a good view of marriage, even though by my mid-20s I was like, I'm never getting married. He started to influence me into thinking that, again, going back to purpose, again, going back to getting to the end of my life and thinking that I did it properly and that I had a fulfilled life, I started to be influenced by the idea that I should get married and start a family. Couple that with thinking, oh man, well, you know, that would open up a whole new arc of my life that I could tell animated stories for, and so maybe that would prolong my career for another, who knows, 10 plus years. And also, as a man, you enjoy the company of women, and I was thinking to myself, well, maybe this whole running around, dating casually thing isn't good. And I just had this feeling of emptiness, this feeling of like something's missing, but I didn't quite know what it was, right? We're gonna get to the God-shaped hole that every person has that Christians will talk about, which is fucking bullshit. But we're gonna get to it. It's not bullshit in the sense of, in a way, I guess you could say it's a God-shaped hole, but thinking that God-shaped hole is filled by becoming a religious Christian is fucking bullshit. We're gonna get to that in a minute. Anyway, but again, look into the external. So much look into the external. Maybe a wife, a family, you know what I'm saying? Maybe a change of content. Maybe that will please these people. Getting advice from another older person. All these things, looking again to the external. That's the path I went down. And so I ended up finding the girl who would become my wife. This was a girl that I had dated previously to this point that I thought was amazing, and we picked up where we left off, and things progressed. Eventually I married her and we started a family. And it was through going through that phase of my life that inspired me to look into religion, because I was like, oh man, well, now I got a wife and kids, but then the fear of divorce, the fear of not raising your children properly. My wife was pregnant with a girl. I don't want to raise a thought. I thought, no pun intended. And so I was like, where do I turn to now? What do I do? And then I started reconsidering religion all over again, thinking to myself, oh, well, if we practice religion and we're a good Christian family, even if we didn't believe in all the hocus pocus shit, magical shit, the stories, the fantastical stories of animals coming 2 by 2 from every corner of the earth, land animals traversing millions of miles of water. How did that happen? But, you know, even if we don't believe in all that stuff, just being a cultural Christian family would be good for our marriage and for our children. And so, and that's when you start hearing about the God-shaped hole, right? How you can only find fulfillment in Christ and all that shit. And so we start going to church, and you expose yourself to something, ideologies and concepts long enough, you know, they're going to affect you. They're going to convince you. Either you will eventually become convinced, or it's just going to not harmonize with you so long that eventually you stop listening altogether because it's upsetting you. Those are the only 2 things that I think can happen if you constantly expose yourself to an idea over and over. You'll either reject it and get away from it because you don't agree with it, it doesn't appeal to you, it doesn't resonate with you at all, and so you get away from it, or you will start to believe it, you will start to be more and more convinced of it. And that's essentially what happened with me. And eventually I had my own come to Jesus moment, emotional. You know, I was constantly listening to pastors, constantly listening to sermons. But yet still, and this is why I said earlier, it's fucking bullshit. See, once you've found the truth, you should feel at peace. You should feel stable. You should feel as if you've crossed the finish line. And that's what a Christian would tell you, that that's the God-shaped hole that gets filled when you find Jesus and invite him into your heart. However, when you become a Christian, you learn that your shit is just beginning. Now you gotta learn all of this doctrine in terms of, you know, what it means to be a Christian, how a Christian should behave, which of course they're all this shit that is disputed amongst Christians. Then you realize, oh, wait a second, I gotta now battle with sin and temptations and all of that, right? Like and there's a threshold where if you go too far, depending on, again, which variation of Christianity you fall into, either it means you're never a believer to begin with or that you fall away. And instead of things getting better, things just got worse, right? There was just so much feeling, the finish line kept getting further and further and further away. And this is precisely why you see so many Christians debating constantly amongst one another. They're searching for meaning. They're searching for purpose, constantly studying the Bible, constantly reading it. As Jesus said, you search the scriptures looking for God when I'm right in front of you, essentially. Paraphrasing here. Point is, that whole, there is no fucking fulfillment in that shit. You start thinking the fulfillment comes at the end, once you die and you go to heaven. You know, and you have moments, don't get me wrong, you have moments when you feel like you're doing it right and you're in the zone. But that's why it's very common. You'll hear even pastors talk about it, how there's seasons where you feel far from God. It's because none of that is true spirituality. None of that will give you a sense of purpose. Going back to what I was saying earlier, it should be impossible for any person to leave the faith and not come to the realization that they made a mistake by the fact that their life should start to get worse and fall apart. But that's not what happens for a lot of people. For some people, yes, because they leave that misguided, confused model of spirituality that some religious people practice, and I dare say a grand majority of them practice, and you go back to being lost. But you're now lost without even some of the good habits that do come with being a Christian, right? Like at least trying to be an honest person, trying to be a kind person, a forgiving person, trying to be someone who doesn't overindulge, trying to be faithful to your spouse. You go back to having no fucking spiritual guidance, and now you relinquish the feeling of obligation to do those shits. And so yeah, those people, their lives fall apart. But there are many people such as myself, people like my boy Nero Knowledge, who are incredibly devout Christians, left that shit and then leveled the fuck up every aspect of life and got better. And it's because there is a God-shaped hole within all of us. And that God-shaped hole is knowing that you are a manifestation of God, that you are the creator of your reality, that there is no one to prove anything to, there is no one to validate, and that you get exactly what you want in this life. Not what you say you want, but what you truly want, what you tell the universe you want by what you focus on. Because what you sow, you reap. We reap what we sow, what you focus on grows. And so everybody has the opportunity to have exactly the kind of life they want. And through the power of your imagination, which that is what Jesus is a metaphor for, the power of your imagination. The character of Jesus is a metaphor for the power that is available to all of us through our imagination. The subconscious mind being the womb of all creation. You can have exactly the reality in life that you want, should you come into this awareness that your external world is a projection of your beliefs, the beliefs about yourself and thus the world around you. And so at that point, once you get to that understanding, one, you finally are at peace.
More red or black wings.
You finally get to a place where you realize life becomes like a Minecraft game. You can have whatever you want instantly in the spiritual plane, and thus feeling the contentment and the fulfillment of that spiritually, emotionally. But then if you maintain that energetically, it will also manifest physically for the sake of reaffirming this energetic state that you're maintaining internally. But essentially, Minecraft is a creative block building game where you can build whatever you want. There is no right or wrong way to play Minecraft. Similarly, with life. The purpose of your life is to create whatever life you want. It is to understand, it is to know that as a manifestation of God, as someone with access to the creative power of God, you can have whatever reality you desire. You don't need to feel limited by fear. You don't need to feel limited by judgment, by circumstances. Your external circumstances do not determine what is available for you. Your past experiences do not determine what your future experiences will be. In the present moment, you get to decide. There's no one to please. There's no one to validate. There's no need for validation. Everything is you. You can either have this entertaining or this form of entertainment be a horror movie, or it can be, a fantastically amazing life where you are the hero, where you have plot armor. I have plot armor. You will not find fulfillment in becoming religious. You will not find fulfillment in getting married, in having children, in starting a family, and even having a girlfriend. You won't find fulfillment in materialistic success or fame. Fulfillment comes from understanding, from knowing that you are God. Now, for some people, that's too heavy of a pill to swallow. And so if it makes you more comfortable to say, well, you are a child of God, well, you are made in the image of God, you are a manifestation of God, if those things make you feel better, then they're all saying the same thing. I mean, God didn't have a problem saying ye are gods in the Bible. Which is why Jesus said, if God said that you are gods, why are you beefing with me because I call myself the Son of God? You reject the scriptures. If there was fulfillment in any of those things, you would never have a pastor getting thrown out of church for cheating on his wife. You would never have a rich celebrity killing himself on drugs or just pulling the plug out of depression. You would never have, no man would ever cheat on his wife. No man would ever abandon his children if there was fulfillment in any of those things. You get to decide, you get to imagine, and that's what I want for you youngins especially. Those of you who aren't married, with no children, who still have your entire 20s ahead of you, man. And again, like I said, I've been able to do miraculous things in my life in just 4 months of doing this. So if you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, please don't think that it's fucking over for you or anything like that, nigga. Many of the world's most powerful and successful men didn't create that success until they were your age. And with Jesus being a metaphor for your imagination, that's how you can understand the passage where he says that you will never thirst again. You will never hunger again once you drink from this well that I have for you. And that's because once you learn how to satisfy your desires, how to restabilize your emotions by using your imagination, then there will never come a time in your life again where you think feeling satisfied, being happy is on the other side of some external event. So many people walk around thinking, man, if only my wife acted like this, if only my kids were like that, if only I made that much money, if only this person treated me that way, if only this was, you know, what's going on in my life would be good. My life would be better. But you can have that right now, spiritually and emotionally, by living from the end, learning how to immerse yourself in the wish fulfilled. And then you get to a point where you don't even need it physically. And it's once you're in that detached state of not needing it physically because you have it spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, that's when it appears in your physical world. If I had known at 25 what I know now, I would have, if I could go back in time and speak to my 25-year-old self, right after he blew up on YouTube, first I would properly explain the metaphysical principles that govern the universe. I had a misconception of how law of attraction worked. I would have helped him to iron out an understanding. That's what this channel is for you guys to understand this shit properly. But then I would have sent him off on his way with an understanding and a knowing that all you have to do is clearly identify what you want, immerse yourself in that reality mentally, live from the end, and it will be yours. Don't worry about anything external, and understand that this is how all of life works. But my friends, my brothers, my sisters, whether you were a Christian, an atheist, a Muslim, or you're just like me, whatever, you see yourself as just a spiritual scientist even. I just want you to know I love you, and I want nothing but the best for you. I wish you the best. And I hope that you find power. I hope you find your power. Because I cannot imagine, bro. I am so happy for my children. I am so happy for my children, bro. Man, I'm excited for them. But I'm excited for you too. Because, shit, I'm teaching you this shit too. But all right, that's it. Go ahead and hit the join button, subscribe, and join and become a channel member. Thank you for watching. And I hope that helps.
Yeah, bro, that's the type of stuff I've been watching. I didn't have a new one in the recommended. That's a no. Here we go.
Now, in order to become an incredibly powerful manifester, in order to truly manipulate reality, you must be honest with yourself. You cannot manifest a reality that surpasses the story you tell yourself and about the world around you. So, for instance, if deep down you believe that you're a failure, if deep down you believe something negative about yourself, well, you can never manifest a reality that surpasses that. If you're in an energetic state of negativity, you cannot manifest a reality that is more positive than that level. And in order to raise your energetic frequency, there are certain mental blocks that you must undo. But the only way to undo them is to confront them, is to admit them. In a sense, it's like confessing your sins. There are things, you see, we spend much of our life, especially as men, but I'm quite confident women do this as well. We spend a lot of our life denying our feelings, denying the way we feel. And we often mask the way we feel with a false excuse or a false rationalization for the reason we feel that way. So for instance, you might have the deeply rooted belief that you are not deserving of love for whatever reason. Something negative. There's something negative that you say about yourself deep down. And then you might cover it up with the belief that people are mean, right? You might cover it up with the belief that people are unloving, people are cold, people are mean. You just believe this about people. And then you come into this understanding that your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs are actively shaping your reality. And you say to yourself, okay, me believing that people are cold, people are mean is a negative thought that is creating negative feelings inside of me. And so I need to change that. I need to dispel that. I need to live from the end, live from the wish fulfillment. So you tell yourself, people love me, people are loving, people are great. But you find that your world isn't really shifting. You find that your experience of reality isn't really shifting. You don't feel different. In fact, it almost feels like you're lying to yourself. But that's because you haven't actually gotten to the core source of your negative feelings, which is your belief that you are not worthy of love. There's a part of you that is ashamed to admit that to yourself. There's something negative that you believe about yourself that you're ashamed to admit to yourself. You're embarrassed even that you feel that way. Maybe you see it as a form of weakness. Maybe you feel some kind of guilt because a part of the reason you see yourself in that way is due to your own past actions. Whatever the case may be, there's something deeply rooted and negative that you believe about yourself. You need to articulate this belief clearly to yourself. What exactly is it that bothers you, that you believe about yourself or the world around you? You have to be honest with yourself here, incredibly honest. If you're not honest with yourself, you can't undo the block. Because what you're going to do, once you have clearly articulated what that is, I want you to imagine a reality that is the antidote to that situation. So, for instance, you might think to yourself, people don't like me because I'm socially awkward. Maybe that's your deeply rooted belief. Well, the antidote to that reality is people like me and get along well with me and consider me to be an interesting person or a likable person. Of course, this is just hypothetical I'm creating here. Now, what I want you to do is to imagine how you would feel if that were true.
your ability to manipulate your reality is going to be entirely based on the strength of your imagination. And when you first begin to practice this form of spirituality, that is mastering your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotions in order to, so that you may manipulate your reality, you'll find that your ability to imagine things using your imagination feels a bit foreign, feels a bit difficult. But the more you do it, the better you become. Believe it or not, you were once incredibly good at using your imagination when you were a kid, when you were a child, playing pretend, creating storylines with your toys. You used to be incredibly good at that. And believe it or not, you are still actually really good at using your imagination. It's just that you only use it in one way, and that is concocting fearful, negative fantasies in your mind, things to worry about, things to be afraid of. Humans, adults, are very good at imagining the worst case scenario and then buying into it emotionally. Because of course, it is not enough to imagine a situation. The more you can charge that imagination with emotions, the more powerful that thought will become at affecting your experience of reality. And so, the end goal, of course, is to imagine a reality that is the antidote to your deeply rooted negative belief about yourself and the world around you, and then being able to emotionally experience that imagined reality. So, being the person who tells themselves or believes that people don't like them because they are an awkward person, the goal for that person would be to imagine the reality where they are well-liked and are seen as a charismatic person, and then be able to emotionally experience that imagination. In their mind, in their head, of course. What would that feel like? What would that feel like? And that is the emotional frequency that you need to align with in order for your experience of reality to shift, for you to start shifting frequencies. So, an exercise you can do, you can sit down and write this out. You need to articulate this clearly. You need to become very good at acknowledging what's bothering you. Your perfect reality is one where nothing is bothering you. That is what it means to truly be at peace. And that's the energetic state you need to be in to materialize an amazing positive reality. And so you need to become very good at identifying what's bothering you. And once you identify it, what's bothering you, you'll realize that more than likely it's some story that you're telling yourself about yourself. It's usually not even the world around you. There's something that you're telling yourself about yourself that's bothering you. And then ask yourself, if I could wave a wand and my situation be different in a way where this story I'm telling myself, that I've convinced myself, that I believe about myself, if I could wave a wand and be in a different reality altogether, where the opposite of this is true, what would that reality look like? What would that feel like? And when you just start doing this, you'll be able to maybe feel it for a brief moment. I have found that breathing deeply while trying to imagine this alternate reality, where that story you tell yourself about yourself isn't true. I found that breathing deeply, for whatever reason, maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't, I'm able to feel the imagined reality.
I'm in a lobby with a bunch of players and I have wings and they don't, and they're jealous of me.
It's like you breathe deeply as you describe that reality to yourself. How would you feel? What position will you be in? What would your life look like? Breathe it in. Another thing that helps me to do it is bouncing on my trampoline. I have a personal trampoline. They're called rebounders. You can get them online on Amazon. If you're going to get one, I recommend that you get one that's not super cheap. It's the kind of thing where the more you spend, the better the quality actually is, but you don't need to spend a ridiculous amount of money.
Bro makes 5% off every rebounder sale. Don't at me.
Of course, if you're bigger, you're going to want a better quality one. I have one that I bought for $400 on Amazon. I have one that I bought for $800 elsewhere. But I'm also, 215 pounds, 6'5", and I jump pretty aggressively. You don't need to do all of that. You don't need to get a trampoline at all. It's just what I really like and what works for me, but you don't need to. Maybe you would be able to achieve the same thing going for a jog, maybe. Something about moving my body, it complements using my imagination. I don't know. Now that I think about it, it's always been easy to get lost in my thoughts going for a walk or going on a run. So maybe try that. But I personally found bouncing on a trampoline. And there are all these other mental health and physical benefits to using a rebounder. You can look into that if you like. Maybe it's something you'll enjoy. It's one of the best things I've purchased in a very long time. But it's not essential. So that's what it all comes down to, guys. In order to manifest your reality, the reality that you desire, the one that you would prefer, a more positive reality, in order to shift frequencies, you're going to need to unblock those negative emotional hang-ups that are deep, deep down. It might even hurt to articulate it, whether you're typing it out or writing it down. I really think it's important that you either type it out or write it down. Don't just say it. Of course, even being able to articulate it with your mouth is a good step, but look at it. Confess. Admit to yourself that you believe this terrible thing about yourself. This terrible thing that you believe other people think about you. This terrible thing that you believe about the world around you, whatever it is. Admit that that's what you believe. And that is the source of a lot of the negativity that you're experiencing in your reality. And then the goal, of course, is to construct an imagined reality that is the antidote, the opposite to what you have written down. And then ask yourself, what would that feel like if this were true? If this opposite scenario were true? What would I do? What would I feel like? How would I behave? How would I walk? How would I talk? And the more you can live in that feeling, the faster your reality and your frequency will start to shift. And that negative belief you have about yourself, those negative feelings you have about yourself, they will start to evaporate and disappear, because that's all it is. It's just a story that you're telling yourself. Nothing is set in stone in regards to your reality. The past doesn't exist, it's gone. All that exists is the present moment. And your future moments are determined by the energetic state you maintain in the present moment. And so, if you assume this more positively charged energetic state by aligning emotionally with the reality that you actually want to be true, to the point of using your imagination, well then, you are sowing seeds that you will harvest in the future, where your present experience reality will be exactly aligned with the emotions of your preferred imagined reality. Your imagination now determines your experience reality in the future. The beautiful thing is, you'll start to feel better now. In fact, you have to. That's what will change. That's you shifting your energetic frequency. You need to feel better now. You have to. I hope that helps.
The Tesseract has awakened.
This is a narration, but it's definitely narration. The staircase you...
Who knows? There's so much I want to say about that, but that's for another video. Truly it is. In fact, that's the very next topic. I'm going to be talking about how you can use breathing and breath work to accelerate your manifestations, to empower your ability to manifest your desired reality. That will be the very next thing I cover for my members only videos. So go ahead and join this channel. You have to do it on your computer, on your desktop. Go on your computer and hit the join button. Become a reality shifter. That's a $10 tier. I have 2 tiers, and I only have 2 tiers because YouTube makes you make at least 2 tiers. I would have only made 1, but I made a $3 tier just if you want to show me a little bit of love. You know what I'm saying? Throw a little change my way. Buy me a cup of coffee once a month, essentially, and you get the little membership badge beside your name. And the longer you are on this journey and are a part of this community, the badge, you know, it evolves over time. So that's a cool feature. But if you want to get the exclusive shit, so far I have 3 exclusive videos, about to be 4. Go ahead and become a reality shifter. Again, that option is only available on the desktop. You're not going to see it on your phone. But let's talk about not overthinking manifestation. You need to understand that the things you desire, the things you're actively and consciously trying to manifest, those things come to you easily. As soon as you set the intention, as soon as you identify what you want and you make a conscious decision to align with that energetically, meaning emotionally, feeling-wise, it comes to you easily and it's already on the way. What you need to do is not get in the fucking way. How do we do that? When we engage in frequencies that contradict the desired reality. So for instance, you want to be a successful businessman. Whenever you start having feelings of anxiety, fear, doubt in regards to this desired reality of being a successful businessman, you're misaligning from the frequency you want to actually align with. And so it's in those moments that you have to perk up and actively make the decision to not engage in those feelings, not engage in those thoughts, and realign with your desired reality by living from the wish fulfilled, living from the end, and doing a myriad of things. I've already given you guys so many things, and I'm about to give you more as we go into breathwork and reprogramming the subconscious mind, which are topics I'll be covering soon. There's so many ways that you can break and stop that negative train of thought. You can smile, right? We're talking about smiling. By smiling, you pull an emotional handbrake. It forces you to reflect on why you're smiling. You obviously can't smile about this shit that was pissing you off. And so you find something to be grateful for. So smiling, very effective technique. You can do deep breathing, coupled with meditation, either or. The two go very well together. You can go and look up on YouTube, guided meditation, guided breathwork session for relaxation. You can go exercise. Get on a rebounder, that's what I have, that's what I like, a trampoline. I jump up and down on it, pause. Makes you feel a lot better. You can go for a jog, you can jump some rope, you can go hit the heavy bag. Whatever you gotta do, anything that works, anything that stops the train of thought. You see, that's the only difference between us and everybody else, bro. Everybody else, they let themselves spiral. They feed into this negative shit because they think this negative shit matters. They think it's important what other people think. They think it's important what the fuck is going on in politics, in the news. They give a fuck about shit that don't matter. That's the only difference between us and them. We realize that we control our reality with the thoughts we entertain, the feelings that we entertain. And so everybody else, they spiral. They'll have a whole day pissed the fuck off. They'll be mad about for 3 days because of one thing that happened. Us, maybe we're pissed off for a few seconds, maybe a few minutes if it's really some fucking bullshit. But then we let it go because we understand that when we manifested that thing that happened is a result of energetic frequencies that we were occupying consistently for some period of time. And some of that shit, bro, it's coming from months ago. You feel me? Some of that shit's coming from years ago. Now, it dies very quickly. As soon as you become conscious and you actively start focusing your attention on the things that you actually want, that shit dies off very quickly. It's kind of like when a fat person makes a decision to lock in and lose weight. It could have taken him his entire life to become 200-300 pounds overweight, but just 1 year, 2 years max of dedicated focus to weight loss will result in him getting in great shape. Same thing with this. Yeah, you've been living as an unconscious bot for years, and because of that, you have the life you have today. And it's not your fault. This is information that needs to be revealed to you. It is just what it is. This is why the wealthy stay wealthy, because they know this shit intuitively. This is passed down generation to generation. Children are programmed. They're completely unaware of these principles. It's just ingrained in their mind. And so they do the right things and continue to be wealthy. Continue to pass on the success of their forefathers. So the same reason why poor people typically stay poor, because they've inherited that programming from their parents. The only way to break the cycle, to break the loop, is to become aware of this knowledge and this information. And we have this information now. And so bro, you just gotta trust the process. You don't worry about, am I doing it right? Don't worry about, am I trying hard enough? I went through that phase too initially, so I don't want you to beat yourself up about it. I do think but it's not unlike anything else. When you first get into working out, you overthink the shit. oh, am I drinking my protein at the right time? Did I get it? Oh, should I have gotten one more vitamin? But the reality is, once you set the intention, and every day you wake up and prioritize this shit, you're going to be moving in the right direction. And as you continue to do it and you see the results, you'll also realize that I was really overthinking this shit. This shit is really way simpler than I thought it was. That on every and anything. Sport, art, anything, bro. Anything you get into at the first time, or for the first time, you think the shit is way more complicated than it really is. You think you gotta apply way more effort and like thinking about the shit than you really do. And once you do it for a while, you realize this shit is way simpler. I was really overcomplicating the shit. I really just needed to keep going. And you're gonna have eureka moments. But I promise you, bro, it's coming, right? You just gotta stay the course. You gotta stay committed. The beautiful thing about this is it's impossible for you to do this shit for 3 months and not see amazing results in your life. You know what I'm saying? So just do it for 3 months. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like with religion, for instance, that's a lifelong commitment with no guarantees. If you can become a Christian, a pastor won't guarantee you that you're gonna have a life of health, joy, and abundance and blessing. Oh, maybe you're one of the people that God just wants to fuck with your entire Christian walk or your entire Muslim walk and make your life difficult. So there's really no way to know. You know, shit could be going good, shit could be going bad. I don't know. With this, you get exactly what you want. Whatever you focus on, you will move towards it. If this shit is true, you will see it actively coming closer and closer and closer to you. And the more you do it consistently, and the more lasered in your focus on this shit, the faster it comes. The more confirmation. The more consistently you apply the principles to every aspect of your life as well, the stronger you get, by the way, at manifestation. If you only apply these principles to a certain goal that you're trying to achieve, then, brother, you're doing it wrong. You need to apply this to every single aspect of your life. What you want more of, focus on. What you don't want more of, ignore it. That also includes the feelings of doubt and fear and shit like that. Don't place any importance on it. How do you place importance on something where you focus? It's not a bad thing to have doubts. It's not a bad thing to have anxiety. What's bad is when you make it important by focusing on it. You need to just recognize, oh, I'm feeling a little anxious right now. Oh, this is a negative thought. I'm thinking poorly about myself. These are fearful thoughts right here. But they pose no threat to you. The threat comes when you start to fixate on them and you start to give them importance. You now just need to shift. Stop feeding into it. Stop arguing with that person in your head. Don't give it any life. Don't give it any of your attention. It will just disappear, fade away. That's what makes us different. Maybe you've been doing this shit so long that you start to forget what you really used to be like. You really used to fixate on this shit all the time. And you've been doing this your whole life. That's why your life is the way it is. You're in a completely different group of people now, bro. You don't feed into negativity. You don't feed into the bullshit. And again, negativity in this context just means the shit you don't want. What might be negative for one person is positive for another. So there's no right or wrong. A vibration is only low if it's the opposite of what you want. You know what I'm saying? So, let's put a nice little bow and tie on this video. Just really simplify this. How do you know whether or not you're overthinking the shit? Or how can you ensure that you practice these principles without overthinking the shit? This way of life is more about what you don't do than what you do. It's more about what you don't do than what you do. What do I mean by that? It's more about what you're not focused on than what you are focused on. Once you have identified, the only big thing that you need to do mentally is clearly identify what you want. Clearly imagine what that reality looks like. Once you've done that, commit to aligning energetically, emotionally with that reality. See, once you've done that, anytime feelings or thoughts arise that contradict that, it's going to become apparent to you. You're going to feel it in your body. It's going to feel bad. It's going to feel wrong. Once you've identified that you're experiencing one of those moments, and this does happen less and less frequently the longer you do this shit. You know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like how you stop getting sore after you work out for a consistent period of time. The longer you work out, the less sore you get. The soreness initially is an indication that you're making progress. In the same way, you feel yourself emotionally and mentally doing the work, choosing not to engage in these negative thoughts and these feelings. But if you continue to do it, one of the evidence that you've made progress is that less and less of these feelings and thoughts occur. And you can, if you're not careful, you might start thinking that you're not doing it anymore. Because that effort that you felt yourself expending in the beginning starts to become less apparent. Because the bullshit just doesn't happen as much. But what should be true about your external reality once you get to that place is shit should be a lot better than when you started. You should be a lot closer to seeing your physical realm, the manifestation of the reality that you've been aligning with. If you're actively aligned with the reality that you want, you identify, okay, this is what I want. I want to become wealthy. I want to be a wealthy person. I see myself as a wealthy person. This is all a battle of how you perceive yourself. It's all a battle of what you believe about yourself. And so, up until now, you believe that something that is contradictory to the desired reality that you want to manifest. You told yourself, you know what, I'm now going to align with this energetically, emotionally. I'm going to see myself as that. Every time you have a feeling or that is misaligned with that, usually that comes in the form of doubt, it comes in the form of anger, stress, some just don't feel good. All that is your old self battling with your new self. Every time those feelings arise, the old self is rising up and saying, no, you're not wealthy, you're poor, life is hard. No, shit don't come easily to you. That thing you want, it's not for you. You're supposed to have a life of pain and suffering, whatever else fucking bullshit the old self is programmed with. But that's good that those feelings are arising, because that's showing you that you're killing the old self. The battle is won when you don't engage, when you don't feed into it. When you tell yourself, oh, no, fuck you, I'm a smile. The old self wants you to frown and get angry and stress. You smile and relax. Fuck that, I ain't gonna think of that. Nah, I am wealthy. Nah, I am a chick madman. Nah, I am the most lit, whatever it is that you're pursuing on the planet. That's who I am. And so you don't entertain that shit. And initially, of course, you might not feel like that shit is real. You might not believe it that much. You might get a little knot in your chest when you tell yourself that. Feel your throat vibrate a little bit. All of the signs of I'm lying to myself. That shit will go away. That shit will go away. It will pass. And eventually you'll say those same things and believe that shit. Like, how the fuck can anybody not see that shit? How is it even possible? Nobody else is you out there. Obviously, that's what I am. And now I'm just waiting for it to be reflected in my reality. That's what will come if you stay, of course, not feed into that shit. And you will die in the new self. The self that you've aligned with energetically. It will become your dominant self. And eventually it will become all that there is. And you look back at your old self and wonder, what the fuck was I on? Who the fuck was that guy? That was weird. that's what's gonna happen, bro. So look, trust the process, bro. Give me 3 months of your life. Give me 3 solid months of committing to this shit. And if in 3 months you don't feel significantly closer to your desired reality being manifested in the physical, then when you started, unsubscribe. I know, man, it was a good run. That's all. You'll never meet a spiritual, well, yeah, they're plenty spiritual people say shit like that, but like, you know, mainstream shit religions, they're not gonna give you that. Because, oh, well, you're gonna go to hell, or whatever bullshit they're gonna tell you. So why you gotta commit for the rest of your life, regardless of the fact that you're not getting results, or your life is shit, or fucking whatever. Just keep showing up, keep giving them your money, keep giving them your time. I'm giving you guarantees. Guarantees. So, that's all you gotta do, man. How you know that you're doing it right is that you're not feeding into the bullshit. And that's what you gotta do most of the time. It's about where you're aligning the most of the time, bro. Yeah, you don't gotta be perfect with this shit. No differently than a person trying to get in good shape has to have a perfect diet, or has to never miss a day in the gym. No, you don't have to be perfect, but most of the time, most consistently. You know, I like becoming patient with my kids from time to time. I have thoughts of doubt from time to time in regards to my career, but it's so rare these days. You know, but and because it's so rare, I know it doesn't fucking matter. Just like how, you know, I'll drink some alcohol rarely, maybe like once a month. I know that once a month that I have some alcohol, if that is not going to undo the other 30 days of me being fucking boxing. Not that there's anything good or bad about alcohol. Well, alcohol objectively is poisoning. Damages your body. You do it too much. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not moralizing alcohol. I'm not saying, oh, you're a worse person if you do more than that. You just got to be honest with yourself about whether or not it aligns or misaligns with your desired reality. I just know for a fact drinking alcohol on an occasional basis or a regular basis, it fucks me up too much. It makes me feel like shit the next day. I get shit sleep. It makes me more anxious. I don't fucking like that shit. But I do like the way alcohol makes me feel. And so on occasion, I might have some, especially if I go out and drink with a friend, but I ain't touched about that type of shit. The point is, I know the shitty feeling I'll feel the day after isn't going to undo all the work I've been doing spiritually. Right? So it's about locking the majority of it. So, don't worry, bro. You're a manifestation pro already. You manifested your entire life. So all you gotta do now that you're focused, now that you are conscious of what it is you want, anytime any shit that pops up, energetically, emotionally, that contradicts that shit, now you can pay attention. See, in the past, you didn't do that. In the past, somebody trying to argue with you, you arguing with them all day. Even after the argument's over, you're arguing with them in your head. You know what I'm saying? You want something, you want to accomplish something, an idea pops up in your mind as to why it's unrealistic, why it's not for you, why it's bad, and you used to stealing that shit. You used to try and build your life around that potential bad thing. Now you're not doing that. It's incredibly simple, but it's powerful. And the reason we know that it is powerful and it is having a major effect is that how difficult it is to do it consistently. Like, it requires discipline. It's not difficult in that it's hard. It's difficult in the discipline that is required to do it consistently. It is a commitment. There are things that you can do, though, to make this easier for yourself. And I will be discussing one of the universe has gifted me another thing. I talked about smiling a few weeks ago. Super powerful. I got one that's just as, if not even more powerful, bro. Big game changer. Super big game changer. I'm going to talk about it in the next video. I'm posting the members only section, bro. I would recommend you go ahead and become a member so you can tap in and get that shit. Hope that helps. So let's take a look at 5 Bible verses that teach the law of attraction. Now, why are we doing this? Why are we looking at the Bible? As many of you know, I'm not Christian, nor am I religious, nor do I believe that the Bible is the inerrant word of God, and that is historically literal. However, I do believe that there is a lot of spiritual truth that is communicated in the Bible. And the reason why I'm making this video is to show you that these principles that are at the very core, the very foundation of the manifestation space of the law of attraction, the most important principles and concepts that you'll hear in this space can be found in the Bible. And without having to do a ton of mental gymnastics either, in fact, the first verse we're going to look at is word for word manifestation language. And the reason I make this video is because a lot of people take a look at the principles that are found in the philosophy of manifestation and law of attraction and law of assumption, and they label it New Age. In fact, that was a part of the reason why I got away from the law of attraction several years ago. A quick backstory on who I am. So here on this channel, I go by Eternal Dawn. Really, that is what I got. You can call me Dawn. The Eternal is more of a, a play on my original branding, which is Young Dawn, right? The Eternal is just a nod to the spiritual aspect of the channel. Anyway, I have been a YouTuber for about 8 years, and when I originally became successful on YouTube, I did that using the law of attraction. I've spoken about this many times in the past. However, two things. One, my understanding of manifestation and the law of attraction and law of assumption is exponentially deeper and more holistic than it was when I came into contact with the law of attraction. In fact, I see now that I didn't understand it completely, properly. I understood it enough to use it and build a successful YouTube career, but I didn't understand it deeply enough for it to penetrate the entirety of my life. And I truly believe that if I understood then what I know now, if I had a more holistic view of the law of attraction, law of assumption, and all of that, I would have stuck with it because I would have had plenty of evidence. However, everything works out in the end. Eventually, I got away from the law of attraction because I realized that this thing was labeled as New Age, and it was associated with hippies that smoke weed, girls with nose rings and henna tattoos and hairy armpits that don't use deodorant, and crystals and horoscopes and vegan diets. Like, ugh, vegan diet. You know, it's funny, I was vegan for multiple years. Anyway, point is, I was essentially convinced that manifestation, secret, law of attraction, all of this stuff is new. These are new concepts that were created relatively recently, and it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And so, even though I used the principles that I understood as best I understood them at the time of the law of attraction to build a successful YouTube career, and by successful I mean I built an animation channel that amassed over 2 million subscribers. It was making me over 6 figures in terms of money. It was successful, and I did that using the law of attraction. No shout outs, no help. I didn't put any money into advertising. Truly, I just manifested it. But as I came to understand that these philosophies at the core of the law of attraction were associated with this culture labeled the New Age, I started to think, oh, it's bullshit. Because if it's new, it's probably bullshit. Probably some guy that just made this stuff up. Well, the reason I'm making this video is to show you that the core principles of the law of attraction, of manifestation, they can be found in the Bible. But not only can they be found in the Bible, you can find these principles expressed in spiritual books that predate the Bible by thousands of years. The point is, this isn't New Age. Crystals, henna tattoos, vegan diets, and all of the like, that culture that you think of when you think of New Age is completely separate from the principles that you learn in the manifestation space. They're biblical, but not only are they biblical, they predate the Bible. So let's go ahead and dive into that. So let's start with the first verse. Mark chapter 11, verse 24. Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them and you will have them. Whatever things you ask when you pray, whatever it is that you desire, look at what you need to do in order to receive them. It's not about whether or not you're worthy in the sight of God. It's not about whether or not you have done enough. It's not about any of those things. It's about whether or not you believe that you have received them. We see this exact argument or message articulated in another verse in the book of John. Believe that you receive them and you will have them. Guys, we can end the video right there. That is the law of assumption. That is the law of attraction. Whatever it is that you desire, whatever reality you wish to see manifested in the physical, you must assume the state of that reality already being true in your present world. And by doing that, you will bring it into your physical existence. You will bring it into your physical reality. That is the law of assumption in a nutshell, articulated verbatim in the Bible. Now, again, we're going to explore a few examples of these concepts being spoken about in spiritual literature that predates the Bible, because I can easily see how a Christian might say, oh, well, this is true for Christians, but, you know, the devil, he's taken these concepts and remixed it for a newer generation, and that's why it's New Age. Kind of like how Islam will say things that the Bible says, right? The Quran says things that the Bible says, and Christians will acknowledge, okay, well, that stuff is true, but Islam came after Christianity, and they added a bunch of stuff, and they twisted a bunch of stuff, and so if you want it, you got to go to the source. But the reality is, these ideas, these concepts, a lot of times, even the articulation of these concepts can be found thousands of years before the Jews, before the Bible, before all. So, there it is. Ask for anything, whatever you ask for. There are no limitations, there are no restrictions. It doesn't say you have to ask for a certain type of thing. It doesn't say you have to want a certain type of thing. It says whatever you want. Whatever you want. I challenge you to go to your pastor. Now, there are some Christians who understand this, believe it, and practice it. And so that's great. You don't have to not be a Christian to understand and apply these principles. But I want you to know, I love and respect Christians, Muslims, people from all walks of life. I don't believe you need to abandon your religious faith in order to act upon or utilize these concepts. These are principles of the universe that are just true, and they're in the Bible. Okay, second verse. Now, Romans chapter 4, verse 17. God who gives life to the dead and calls those things which do not exist as though they did. So again, this is the perfect example of God is speaking things into existence. Now, a Christian might say, well, okay, that is an ability that is reserved only for God. Jesus articulates this in the New Testament when he says, you shall do even greater works than I did. You shall do even greater works than I did. A lot of Christians don't believe that Jesus is speaking about spiritual power, nor do they believe Jesus when he says on multiple occasions in the New Testament that anything that you ask for, if you believe you have received them, they will be yours. They will be given to you. This is a promise. This is an assertion, but most Christians don't seem to believe this. How many Christians, how many pastors can you go to and say, look, if I truly believe that God will make me well, I really believe it, I'm guaranteed to get better. That must manifest in my reality. How many pastors will say that is the truth? That's what the Bible says. But no prayer goes unanswered. Sometimes the answer is no. That just does not harmonize, however, with this promise, this assertion that is made by Jesus that anything you ask for, so long as you believe you will receive it. Now, a better excuse for why that may not happen would be that you didn't have enough faith. At least then that would be consistent with what Jesus said. It would also be consistent with the principles that are articulated in the law of attraction, the law of manifestation. That if you assume the state of the reality you wish to occupy, with enough conviction, it will materialize into physical reality. Because you are God. Or at least, you are yet another expression of God. The Bible would articulate it in this way. All humans are made in the image of God. So, there is verse number 2. Verse number 3. Proverbs 23, verse 7. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Another very powerful verse that articulates a core fundamental concept in manifestation, in law of attraction, law of assumption. Whatever or whomever you believe yourself to be, not who you tell yourself you are, but who you believe yourself to be, that is who you will be. That is who you are. Somebody who considers themselves powerful, blessed, effective, loved, that is the reality you will experience. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So this can be extended to your external reality, or what you perceive as your external reality. Verse 4. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The evidence of things not seen. I remember when I was a Christian, I didn't understand this verse. It didn't make sense. How can faith be a substance? What does this mean? Substance implies material. It implies matter of some sort. How can faith be evidence of something that isn't seen? Is not faith what you have to employ because of an absence of evidence? So how can faith be evidence? Faith is what is required when there is no evidence. That's why it's called faith. If you don't need faith that I am talking to you right now. You don't need to put faith that I'm talking to you right now. You have evidence right in front of you. You don't need faith that 2 + 2 will always give you 4. So how can faith be evidence of anything? In the manifestation space, we understand that thoughts are things. And the moment you believe, the moment you assume the feeling of a particular reality, the moment there is conviction behind that, it already exists. It already exists in the spiritual plane, the immaterial plane. And it is with persistent conviction, with time, we see that solidify and materialize in our physical realm. This is what is understood. And so your faith, your belief, your thoughts are literally the building blocks, the matter of that which is hoped for. It exists, it already exists in the immaterial. Now you're just waiting for it to arrive in the physical. But it's not a kind of waiting that is desperate or anxious. It is a knowing, it is a being convinced that it is already done, it is already finished. And you're just waiting for it to appear in the physical, but even if it doesn't, you're already reaping the benefits of knowing that it is so. A perfect example of that would be if you assume the state of being healed from an illness. Even though you assume that state and you believe that you are healed, and you go to the hospital and the doctor takes an evaluation of your current state and says, oh no, you're still sick, right? The things, the cancer, the disease that's still in your body, we see right here. Somebody who truly believes, somebody who truly assumes the state of the reality that he wishes to see manifested in physical. He has the same degree of relaxation and peace that he would get if the doctor were to take a look at his results and say, you are healed. That is what it really looks like when you really believe. That's what Jesus was saying. If you believe you have received it, it will be yours. And this is why many Christians feel like their prayers are unanswered, they go unanswered. And of course, some of them, they cope and say, oh no, well, my prayers were answered. God just said, no. No. Because they pray for healing, and then they go to the doctor and get anxious. What are the results going to be? They got healing, they got healing. And then they get the results, no, you're still sick. Oh, I guess God said no. Never for a single moment did they believe. True faith, true belief looks like this. It is finished. I am healed. They go to the doctors, look at the results. Oh no, it still looks like you're sick. No, not. It hasn't materialized yet in the physical, but I'm healed. I know that I'm healed. That is what real faith looks like. And that is something that I never, in my 3 years of being a devout Christian, listening to different pastors, different denominations, even the overly zealous Pentecostal types that believe in praying in tongues and casting out demons, I never once heard this articulated. Now, you might actually hear it in a realm of Christianity that is known as prosperity Christianity, but this subset of Christianity is oftentimes demonized. Imagine that, being demonized for spreading the idea that God wants you to be happy, healthy, and wealthy. Oh my, so terrible. Anyway, so there you go. Faith as substance. And then, lastly, Matthew chapter 9, verse 29. Then he touched their eyes, talking about Jesus, saying, according to your faith, let it be to you. According to your faith. So in this instance, blind people, they approach Jesus, and they are asking to be healed. But what does Jesus say? Jesus says, according to your faith. So it really had nothing to do, well, I won't say nothing, but this wasn't about Jesus just exercising his spiritual power. Why does the faith of the people who are being healed, why does that matter? We imagine, at least in Christianity, Jesus is imagined as essentially like a superhero. Think about Superman. Well, Superman's ability to exercise his powers is never contingent on whether or not the people around him believes that he has superpowers. It doesn't matter if you believe that Superman can shoot lasers from his eyes or fly or you have superhuman strength. Those are just his powers. And that's oftentimes how Jesus is thought about. Yet here, we see Jesus saying that your ability to be healed is actually determined by your faith, not mine. We see this further expressed in Mark chapter 6, verses 4 through 6. And Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor, except in his own country, and among his own king, and in his own house. And he could do no mighty work there, except that he laid his hands upon a few sick people and healed them, and he marveled because of their unbelief. And he went among the villages teaching. Pay close attention. He could, not he wouldn't, but he could do no mighty work there, except that he laid his hands upon a few sick people and healed them. He was unable, incapable of healing these people, because of the lack of their faith, or their lack of faith. Now here, a Christian might say, well, no, Jesus is God, all-powerful, all-knowing. And it wasn't really that he couldn't in the sense that he was incapable. It means he wasn't allowed to. Maybe the Father said to him, hey, if they don't show the right kind of faith, don't heal them, right? Maybe Jesus had some kind of idea here that, oh, well, I need your faith to, that's what's going to incentivize me to actually heal you. If I don't really feel like you got faith like that, I'm not going to heal you. However, I can show you that this is inconsistent with the rest of the Bible. Take a look at this. John chapter 2, verse 11. This beginning of signs Jesus did in Cana of Galilee and manifested his glory, and his disciples